Okay, let's get this party started. Hi, how's everyone?
Good.
Good? Ready to rock 4 hours?
Yeah. Sure.
To be honest, have you done all the readings for those 2 chapters, 11 and 12? Nah, I did. Alright, so my name is Dr. Thomas Würzer. We met in your first session. I'm the other professor in the real estate development program, and Fred Foggy and I are co-teaching this class. That also means, as he might have expressed earlier, that we are going to do a quantitative numbers crunching, brain mind-blowing for 4 weeks. And then he says I come in and do the funny stuff, as in, yeah, whatever, planning, real estate, no numbers. Yeah. So everyone who had a rough time with numbers and did freak out a little bit here and there with crunching mortgages and other rates, let's change the key. You're going to be okay. The way I run my classes is gotta get the readings done before. Okay? Why? Because if something is unclear in the lecture and you have done the readings before, you can ask and you are informed already a little bit. Yeah? If something completely goes ballistic, you're sitting in the lecture, haven't done the readings yet, and I drop a term like PUD. PUD? Yeah, Planned Unit Development. Now, if you read that little paragraph before, it's going to be fine. It's all about reducing anxiety and stress levels in learning. Yeah? Learning is a steep curve. Got to climb up the mountain, but there are different ways to climb the mountain. Yeah? I understand not all those readings are really sexy. I try to put a little bit more flavor into my PowerPoints, in my presentations, and in the way I try to explain a few things to you guys. Okay? So there might be 1 or 2 pages in the chapter that are really analytical. Like, I've done a field trip 15 years ago. Been there, done that. Let's show you a picture and actually help you to understand and learn the association of what's going on in space and with the textbook. That's kind of the idea. Okay? I am a GIS guy, Geographic Information Systems guy. I do fancy mapping. That means Google Maps is the tip of the iceberg. Technically, it's just an ice cube, and everything else I have done in my career is below the surface. In 4 years working for the city of Cincinnati, I did like 5 maps, 2 for the Christmas parties. Yeah? Everything else is databases, but spatially talking to each other. That means I'm a fan of spatial stuff. That means you will see a bunch of visualizations. We're going to jump across the globe today with Google Maps. Fingers crossed, I just switched computers. That hopefully works. Yeah? And I try to inspire you a little bit because I teach with the idea of educate, entertain, and inspire. Yeah? So do me a favor, do the readings, Stacy. Yeah? It is not complicated stuff. It's fairly short. There's a lot of things you can reflect between the lines. Yeah? Like, hey, have I ever seen manufactured homes? What does this mean, a manufactured home? I do not have a picture of a stereotype manufactured home. The stereotype. I have the original grandfather of it. It's in the readings. Yeah? So that's kind of the class prep. Am I going to be super angry and kick you out because you didn't do the readings? No. But you understand that this is one of the basics I want you to do. Read and even take old paper and do scribble notes. Because we're going to have an exam about all that. Yeah? And the best way you study for your exam is with notes. And maybe rewatch 1 segment of those videos. Did Dr. Foggy do an open book or a closed book exam? Open notes? Everything closed?
Just calculate.
Yeah, don't know yet the format. We'll figure it out until next week. I'm usually a closed book, closed notes, no laptops, handwritten exam guide. Gives you enough time, the fair questions, easy to understand. We go through all the questions at the beginning of an exam, and then you express your own words. There are maybe 3 or 4 definitions we are going to have, let's say in tonight's lecture. There's going to be one specific definition. You've got to have that imprinted in your brain. Everything else, express it in your own words. Those who know me from Shark Cage, because Teddy is like, I'm fairly relaxed. Just it's about having fun, educating, having fun. Alright? Hi. I try to learn all your names. I will learn all your names. I will ask you once in a while who is who. Because this right now is not the body count I have on the list. So I know maybe 4 or 5. Next time when we engage, learn each name. On that note, my exams are only with your N number, with your student ID number on it. I don't want to know that this is Stacy writing whatever she's writing. Only her N number. So I do all the grading, and then at the end I see student's name with the N number and the score when I transfer it over. That's at least the plan. Transfer over. Because I don't know actually if I have a list of your N numbers. Fred has that. So there's some logistics, and I try to be upfront, totally blunt, totally straightforward. This is how I run my classes. So who am I? Oh, cute. Born and raised in South Germany, had a scholarship to come to the University of Delaware for GIS, all this mapping stuff. Got my doctorate in actually regional planning in Cincinnati. Worked a few years out in the West, Idaho specifically, and I came here down to Florida to do real estate. I had my fair share of internships and professional experience in the planning world, so I'm kind of the governmental voice in the real estate program. Every time you hear someone complaining about zoning, planning department, land use, blah, 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 I'm that guy. Wrote comprehensive plans, did zoning reviews, permits, and a bunch of maps. Yellow, blue, and whatever they wanted to do. Alright. Yellow is the color of residential land uses. What do you think are residential land uses? Let's start with the lady in the last row. What's your name? Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, good, how are you? I'm Melanie. Residential, house, living, breathing.
Alright. Are there any separations or any distinct uses in that residential?
You can rent, you can own.
Okay. So we have Mohammed, Melanie, Mohammed, Teddy, Gabe, Tigo. Who's Mr. Oxer? That's you. I met you in the hallway. So you
Tanner.
Tanner with a W name?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to sort that. What's her first name again?
Daniel.
Daniel. Okay. Daniel, what are the distinct residential land uses you might have seen or experienced or seen in a book?
There's apartment complexes, condominiums. What do you mean?
Are there any special types? Any special types? Residential use, special types? Alright, what about timeshares? Second homes? Ever thought about a cabin? Cabin in a nice lake somewhere in the mountains? Cabin with like 11,000 square foot? That's called a second home. Yeah? So, I have tons of PowerPoint slides today. I have a German accent, and I tend to be really fast talking so I won't fall asleep when I have more than 50 slides. I have more than 50 slides today. I can talk for an hour on 10, I try to run through. There are a lot of funny visuals. I try to make this as wonderful, amazing for you guys. But there are also some really boring, just text-based pages. Yeah? So it's a mix. We're going to do residential, subsections of residential. I try to engage you guys. I have at least 2 laptops in a row, so we might actually huddle up and just say, surf there, check this place. So you actually see when we talk about something, and like, hey, how does this look like actually in the real world? And then we're moving into commercial uses. Retail, with a little bit retail theory for trade areas. Office space, hotel, warehousing. Warehousing is very short, lots of stories to tell, but we cover that. We're not doing any mathematics, so hold tight, stay focused. Dr. Foggy and I have different teaching styles. He doesn't do a break. I truly enjoy the idea of maybe a break at some point. Depending on the craziness in the classroom, I might actually do at the top of the hour usually a break for just a few minutes. The plan is to have like a 5-minute at 8-ish. Depends where we at. 5 minutes, good enough to run down to the bathroom, maybe up and down the stairs. Don't do it as 15. I will start immediately after 5. I might not even leave the room at all. But the experience is take a small break, stretch, relax, like a 7th inning stretch. I also refer a lot of examples to food, football, and baseball. More likely food. So it's really tough at 9 o'clock when you're tired and hungry to hear stories about food. But that's all said, let's start. I pace a lot. I might end up at the other end of the room. Please, you can take notes on your laptops. I don't mind that technology in the classroom. If you start surfing on Twitter, Facebook, or what else, close the laptop or consider leaving the class because you're wasting your own time and money and you are a distraction to your friends and colleagues. I'm not going to kick you out. You make that choice because apparently you're not interested in my lecture or collaborating with your fellows if you're surfing the interwebs with Facebook or other social media. I had one student once doing this in an exam in a computer lab. So I'm like, are you done? No, just wanted to check. I'm like, okay, fine. Are you done, aren't you? Okay. Hi. Alright, residential products, as Melanie and Daniel already started, we do have different product types and community types. The classic American dream is a single-family home with a little bit lawn, front lawn, backyard, single white picket fence. Traffic calm neighborhood. It takes a village to raise a kid. And you're perfectly fine that the kid is playing with the neighbors 3 doors down the street because they have the same lifestyle, same income, maybe work at the same company back then. Not anymore necessarily, okay? Then, this is kind of along the book in some of the slides to give you like markers where you're at. Single family homes, we got this in different types. We have the single family attached and then the detached. Basically, do you have structures next to the house or not? Meaning, could be a simple, do you have a garage right next to it and you can walk from the kitchen into the garage, or do you actually walk across the driveway into the garage, almost like a barn set up in a farmhouse? Or, what is mostly referred to that is actually, are you in a somewhat a townhouse complex, or even a duplex or quad? Yeah? Where you have neighbors straight up next to you. So, didn't put any pictures up because I'm pretty sure you guys have seen townhomes like that before. When we talk about multifamily, I put up here multi-residential, multifamily buildings. James Connolly was here last week. Yep. And he gave you guys a talk about multifamily and apartment buildings. Basically saying this is the thing what we mostly do when we talk about multifamily. Even though there are a bunch of college kids living in there, or couples, or singles. Yeah? But the type is pretty much built for, this is actually treated for families, depending on the size of the square footage and the building, rooms, okay? Something we're not going to go into the depth today is second homes and timeshare. Because they are really special animals. Timeshares, we might know them from the Keys and some condos maybe down in Miami, but mostly in tourist destinations, that's where they actually kind of sell. Las Vegas, if you have friends here in Florida, where do you go skiing?
Vermont.
Colorado where?
You go to Aspen.
Aspen, Vail, Breckenridge, anyone? Sun Valley, Idaho, Ketchum? Ever heard about that? Well, depends if you're flying or in your own jet or if you fly charter. Yeah? So, there are different ideas. I used to work in Idaho, and the way I approached second homes was very large cabins at beautiful lakesides in small little canyons. And because I did wildfire research back then, a lot of those guys had issues with wildfire, vegetation burns and all that. Yeah? And if a home has like 12,000 square foot and 11 full-time employees, and it's considered a second home, even here in the Miami area where we have larger homes like that, you're like, okay. Yeah? That's like having a yacht in Fort Lauderdale, something like that. Second homes, we will talk about that a little bit later. This is property management and adjacent to a real estate program. Why do you think second homes are really cool? What's your name?
Judson.
Johnson?
Judson.
Yeah. Joe?
Judson, yeah.
Okay. Why do you think, or do you have any idea why second homes could be really cool?
That would mean that you own another home, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah, just you rent them out full time, or you could use it as an investment.
Yeah, or you don't rent them out,
Or
you
you
just spend a few
yeah.
weeks a year there. Okay. Why do you think they are not so great for a municipality, community?
Because they're vacant most of the time.
They are vacant most of the time. What does vacancy mean for most of the time then?
There's no one there. So less people at the community.
Less people. As future property managers, what does vacancy mean for you?
If you create a security issue?
Yep. One thing, who's responsible for security in a small town like Mountain Town, Resort Town? The city. Who's part of that security troop? Police. So you're financing police somehow. Okay? What about utilities? What about water, electricity, sewer? Someone needs to finance that. Yeah? What about commerce? Small restaurants, large restaurants, someone needs to finance that. So if you're a resort town or area of second homes, you have a non-steady cycle of consumers in your town. And depending on how this is structured, just property tax might not rock it. Because depending where you're at, you might actually face different financing in terms of property taxes. Yeah? And because you're not there, you're not participating, and. However, you might not have the local right to vote in that town because you don't have residency, but you own property. So whatever the city wants to do, you have property rights based on planning law, on policing powers coming from the Constitution. That is in 2 weeks. You have a say on that. So most of the times, what I've experienced is they like their home, they like the 6 weeks skiing or summertime, but they don't like to pay extra for street renewals and stuff like this. So there's a disconnect in there. I cherish all my friends that have second homes. They're beautiful homes. Haven't been there, but they have beautiful homes. But there is some impact to the community, unless they're really, really doing this the right way and spend like half a year here and half a year there, depending on the age group and, of course, income. All right. So, what we're going to do is we're going to run through a bunch of those examples. I'll give you an idea by type, by history, and by just happiness. Some of the examples in the book I just picked out and then pulled in 1 or 2 others, which are like the classic milestones in, let's say, urban and regional theory, or in retail theory, or just in geography. So if you suddenly see something from 1902, it's as valid as of yesterday. Huh? Everyone's like, okay. Gabe is like, okay, let's do this. The idea today is also to look at every of these chapters had like market research in there. And the input, what you need to remember here is, if you do a market analysis of any of those real estate types, you want to feed into market feasibility and financial feasibility. So if you want to know something is financially feasible, what you're going to do is you crunch all those numbers that Foggy gave you, and you realize you're going to be okay or not. Okay? The idea here is risk reduction. Any thought on what is risk? Any idea on the definition? Damon? No, man. Tanner?
Yeah.
Jeez. Ah, trying to learn names in hey, who are you, who are you, who are you? Tanner, what do you think? What is the definition of risk?
Just the definition of the word risk.
How would you how would you explain to Melanie over there what is risk?
The chance of something happening.
Great. And in real estate and finance, we're talking about the probability, that is chance, yeah, the probability of total loss. You wanted to say that too?
I was going to say something becoming a liability.
Becoming a liability. Well, having $1 million in your bank account and then run the risk that you have $0 in the bank account is a problem. Or storm damage. That's part of liability if you want to quote that now. Okay. The probability of total loss. And that's the reason why you get insurance, typically. Yeah? Because all your investment might be gone. That's the reason why you will insure that for an X premium for an X dollar amount. Yeah? Risk in real estate comes also with the project management and facing. Why not develop 500 units at one time, or do 5 phases of each 100 units? It's a different project management, a little bit more costs. However, if I produce every year 100 units and have therefore my risk reduced, because I don't put 500 at one time on it, I have to finance that. That's the difference. Also, what if I build 500 at once and can't sell them? Because the market is not there. So if I know exactly what's going on with market demands, I can phase in also my supplies. I can say, over the next 5 years, I'm putting 100 years per unit out. And if year number 2 works really, really bad, I might wait 1 more year to go back in. Because the only cost I have at that time is the financing of empty land. Yeah? So you got to face that and take that into account. All right. Additional types and subtypes. Yeah? So single-family housing, that's the first thing that actually comes to your mind when you talk about residential uses. Condominiums is somewhat a special type. If you're outside of Florida, maybe Las Vegas, then condos are getting smaller and smaller in perception on the local markets. Condo market, let's say Midwest. What? Yes, please.
Do you post these?
I usually don't, but I will post some. Some.
Do you record your lectures or no? Okay.
Turn around, then smile. Yeah. I don't really like to post, but I can make some major milestones. Yeah, I won't post them tonight for sure, but next day or the other day, or the ones I use for next week, I will post them earlier. That helps you. Yeah, I might do that for next week. Particularly since we're doing a little bit macroeconomics, supply and demand, so if you print them out prior, we can actually do some numbers and sketches. numbers to understand, not numbers to test you, okay? I don't really like to test numbers, just to let you know. I rather have you as a good understanding and solid knowledge on certain things. So you can actually have discussions rather than just a number. Both worlds you need to be exposed to. Alright, so different types here, different types of occupancy. We had apartments to rent earlier as a notion. And homes and ground leases, which is an interesting concept, and timeshares. Homes and ground leases, you have any idea what that could be? Where maybe?
Maybe you're leasing the land.
You're leasing the land and you put the building on top. So technically someone else is owning that land. And it depends where you're at, country or region of country, that could be a common thing. Yeah? You don't lease that out for 10 years, you usually do like an arbitrary 99 years. Like just about 3 generations kind of counting. The state and city of Singapore is doing all their land with 99 years leases. Unless they have changed recently, but last time I checked, they do that. Why? So they actually have control over the land and then not the land use on top of it. That's an interesting concept. You also could say, okay, fine, if you own the land, if you give me the land so I can use it, I actually pay you a lease price, maybe even a commission on whatever is happening on that land on top, on the structures on top. Yeah? Alright, we're going to take a look at mixed use, a little bit of land unit developments, yeah? Single family housing, a little bit of history of it across the US, and then we're jumping into other examples and we'll go forward. Yeah? So again, here, we kind of answered that here, the question of the community in terms of what's going on. RED here on that slide refers to a secondary book which is referenced in the reference list of these chapters. It's actually a book on real estate market analysis. So it's really cool that you actually read one book and you have like the 3 other textbooks you're using in your classes referenced. And I'm like, okay, cool. I know exactly what we're going to do here. Yeah? The question to you guys is, should we always go large scale, including master plan communities? Like big things, 5,000 units, 5,000 homes in one mega development. 10,000, they're doing this in Newtown. So I had Mohammed, I haven't had the other Mohammed yet. Hi Mohammed.
Hi.
What do you think about large scale developments?
It's good, but I feel like if there's an area where it's just single family homes and you just throw up a condos, like just condos, I think it'll look a bit weird to be.
Think about it, you look into a valley and the whole horizon is just the same type of single family homes. Like miles out.
Depends if there's a demand for it.
Depends if there's a demand for it. And yes, believe it or not, there is demand. So if you review this class in one or two days and you take a look at, hey, large scale developments or master plan communities, take a look at Utah, state of Utah, Salt Lake City. They are putting hundreds of acres as one development out there. So not like here we're talking 300 is huge. No, they're putting thousands of acres, 10,000 of acres in development. 3,000, 4,000 square foot homes. Yeah? Drive time, hours, but they get that done. Alright, that is my example for scale. If you see this is a kind of connection in the Washington area, but it says 63 miles to Washington, 71 miles to Richmond, and 24 miles from the regional mall. Yeah? And you ask yourself, okay, fine, if you have different people involved, who are the parties involved and how they would see that kind of scale or the impact. We are talking about land use. I present land use on the one parcel or a series of parcels as a subdivision, maybe as a city. The examples today are cities. Yeah? This is pure reality. If you look at that. Depends on what type of mall. The regional mall in this case, 24 miles, depending on traffic, that's what? An hour? Half an hour? Yeah? That's a common pattern. Well, unless you're running down to a mall in Miami and you're in rush hour. Yeah? So, common pattern, and you will see, I'll speak of my examples of drive time. I'm a big drive time person for work, as in research work. I don't like to stay in traffic. I don't like to stand still when I give my lectures, so I'm pacing all the time. Average 3 miles in about 1.5 miles in a 3-hour session. So we've got to wiggle all the time. That's just me. Jesus. What's your name?
Siggy.
Siggy? Yeah. You're like, what does he mean? No. Alright, fine. Scales. Scales and time is an interesting concept when it comes to single family homes. And the chapter starts out very easy with the idea of manufactured homes, where you have to ask, okay, what is a manufactured home? Is it the trailer park stereotype, low income, bad substance, not really great social people? Forget about those stereotypes. Yeah? There's a reason why we have these homes. People are happy there. When you can actually find a bunch of those stereotype manufactured homes, like you actually put on a big trailer to haul them into a new development, in worst case, you can find them here right next door if you want to. Miami, Fort Lauderdale is not just big residential condominium towers. We have all sources of housing available. So if you run, let's say, along Griffin Road down to Dania, into Hollywood, follow Griffin Road, Dania Beach, you will see little gems of what we consider still manufacturing housing. Or you argue manufactured housing is an industrial, streamlined process to put down construction costs, to drop them, and build 2 or 3 types of homes in the same development. And you buy that home, you basically say, I want that siding, that rotation, that layout, and all the other stuff inside the home. 3 or 4 different types among the 200 units in the neighborhood. Even for townhomes. The only reason why you know exactly what's going on in your neighbor's house is that's your house, and they just mirrored the footprint of your neighbor's house. And you do a townhome by townhome by townhome, 6 pieces in the same. So you know exactly Unit A and Unit Z have the same layout. It's great if you have a block party. If you need to go to the bathroom, just pick the neighbor with the same layout, whatever is closer. One of the most coolest projects ever in terms of manufactured homes runs with the name Levittown. Yeah? It's noted in the book, almost like only 2 or 3 sentences. This was epic in 1947, into the 60s, yeah? After World War II, with the GIs and veterans coming back from World War II. There was a housing market, a approaching housing market. The interstate system started to get built under President Eisenhower. So that's the reason why this comic is the pure reality of that time. That's actually straight from the webpage of Levittown, Pennsylvania. If you look at the museum there, the State Museum, yeah, they actually explain all this in a wonderful way. With the interstate system and individual transportation like the cars, everything started to get possible. But housing prices still varied. Affordability wasn't really available, yeah, for those income levels. So there have been a few guys, particularly Mr. Levy, who actually decided, how can we actually create, like with manufacturing processes, some standardized homes? So stop customizing each home differently. No, 2 or 3 types, very plain, very simple, beautiful in their simplicity. Yeah? That's what they did. That is actually built town, 17,000 homes on just about 6,000 acres. 70,000 people total living there. In 1952 they started in. 52 they started to move in. Yeah? Piece of land like this back then, and industrial manufactured home parts and types turning into something like this. Really bad copy, but this is the right angle. Yeah? Found a different picture. Black and white, little homes. Each unit, streets are not built yet really out, and the vegetation in the black and white picture is really, really poor. Again, aerial photography in the early 50s was flying in the plane and taking a black and white camera. Yeah? So, but if you're a little bit farther distance, so Stacy and Jordan, if you're a little bit farther behind, you see more detail on how this works. Classic layout, squares, a little bit S-curve here, but you enter this whole thing here, and then you get lost in that maze of same-looking buildings. Yeah, back then, homeowner associations didn't exist, so the way to differentiate the buildings was probably by front yards. Yeah? Different decoration, different vegetation. All right, how all those buildings look like? In the mid-70s, found this postcard style picture here. Simple, but kind of beautiful. Not really like a palace and all that craziness. Yeah? They all had, like here is an attached garage, a one-car garage. Who owns a garage in here? Most of you? Not probably yet because of your current stage of life. Who owns a house with a garage?
Like our parents.
All right, let's ask your parents. Do your parents have a garage?
Yeah.
Yes. Do your parents one or two cars in the garage? Or space for two cars but not using them? 3. All right. 4? Cool. So the way I look at three-car garages, one big family car, one small family car, and then all the fun stuff. Kayak, ski bob, water ski, everything. That was, depending where you live, countryside, etc., the different tools. Yeah? The worst case, a horse trailer is right next to the garage. So there are different ways to see that as a structure and demand. And right now, if you look at a rental market, you're paying extra for that space. Yeah? Townhome with a garage or townhome with front street parking, difference. Multiple $100, depending on which area you're here. You live in this area. Okay? So, you ever heard about Redburn, New Jersey? We had an example from Pennsylvania, now we're doing New Jersey. Who is from outside of Florida in this class? Have you been ever in your life to New Jersey? Yeah? Where are you from, Sigi?
Germany.
North or South Germany?
South.
South as in where?
Also Stuttgart.
Stuttgart. Herrlich. And now I'm getting confused. I will not speak dialect with you. She's like 45 minutes away from my home. So, cool. We gotta talk German. Speyer am Rhein, Heidelberg.
Oh,
The family is actually Wangen im Allgäu.
really?
Yeah? Allgäu.
No.
Alright, that's as much for the foreign languages. I try to stay focused on English, so don't confuse me here. Redburn, New Jersey. Anything known about Redburn, New Jersey? I haven't had the pleasure yet of meeting you. What's your name? Nicole? Melanie. Ali. No, Mohammed. Mohammed Ali. Nicole. Teddy, Siggy, there you go.
You're so good at names.
Jordan, Stacy, Jetson,
Judson, man.
Johnson.
Judson.
I have a few missing ones that will come. You gotta remember the name of your students, otherwise you can't be a good advocate.
Fred didn't know our names.
Well, he doesn't care. I do. That's, I got this recently again as an advice. Some people from the Shark Cage know I am a dive master here in the dive program. So if you have time for scuba, learn scuba. It's one of the greatest things you can do in your life. One of the maximum objectives for us in the teams is know the names of your students by face and know and recognize them also in a wetsuit where you only have a mask and a wetsuit. Yeah, so by hair and all that. I'm not sure if I will remember your name in 2 years when we run into each other on campus, granted, but I usually remember my students. So Nicole, hi. Any idea about Redburn, New Jersey? No. Alright, that's really honest. What's your name?
Chance.
Chance? Any idea about Redburn, New Jersey? Why Redburn is so special?
It's the Northwest Residential District.
Yep, I can read too. What else?
Let's see.
1929. What are you seeing here right now? Why is this looking awesome?
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it looking awesome?
What do you see? Streets?
See a lot of streets.
Alright, what else do you see? See what?
There's a Compass, Main Avenue, Fairland Avenue.
Alright,
I
you
guess
guys
that's
are
all.
definitely better than mine. So you have major streets, you have some street grid, okay. What about all this stuff here? What is this?
Is it the first community?
Yeah, did you Google that?
I did.
Alright. Well, thank God for Google, so I don't have to talk too much. No, just kidding. So Redburn, New Jersey is a planned city. It's the first real city put on paper with the idea that walkability and accessibility is a must. Yeah? When I say walkability is a must, you can actually take a look at here, even between the homes. Yeah, this is a parcel. This is a home, parcel, home. There is actually a pathway to access the park, which is pretty much the backyard of the people. If you look at places like this, some people don't even have a real fence, or maybe just a small one, like for the symbolism of property line. Really cool. The idea of all of this here is actually park space accessible for people. Different version of the plan. There's even different types of houses, apartments, houses, a theater. So they really put that in here as like a mixed-use area with different offices and stores and schools, retail, yeah, and then homes, and here again higher density apartments, etc. Really cool, revolutionary at the early 29. Yes, please.
So Levittown and Redburn, have they been repurposed like since then? Like, is it like completely different now?
Next slide. Yes. And I will have a slide or two on the idea of what happened before in actually Germany and in particular in Europe, in UK, the concept of garden city. For the German-speaking people, Gartenstadt. Yeah, loosely translated. And the idea here is to take a look at the old plan versus what happened actually on the Google Earth picture, Google Maps picture taken this morning. It might be 1 or 2 or 5 years old, but this is brand new. And I'm a stickler with this. I do this all in my lectures. Take an old plan and try to put it on top. Well, one that can be as simple as a scanned picture or copy and paste picture. And here are the gaps, which are kind of the spots for parks. See that? Here's a park, here's a park, this, and this is built out. It fits somewhat the street pattern here, retail. It's not perfect, but it gives you the idea of structures, historical structures, how they persist in today's world. And sometimes they get completely swallowed. I have so many slides today that I skipped all the history of German towns and Italian towns and all that stuff, where you see what was in 1600 as a fort or a castle still exists, but it's overbuilt, but the fundamental structure exists. Yeah? So I'm a big fan of what happened actually with a Levittown from mid-50s into today. They still exist. They have been aging, there have been redevelopment, and they have been changed. Okay? So I spoke about garden cities. Well, this is one example of garden city, a sector here, written up as a book by an accountant, public accountant in 1898, Ebenezer Howard. And this guy came up with the idea, do I have that? Yeah, no. This guy came up with the idea, London as the so-called great city, totally down the drain. Put emphasis on a bad word, okay? This is undergraduate class, so I can't really curse. Bad hygiene, slum lords, bad rental agreements, no home ownership, no quality of life, or what we would call social ecological status, SES today. Socioeconomic status. Nothing there. Yeah? And so this guy came up with the idea, hey, if the city is so bad, and the countryside is really great because everything is great and better on the countryside, and people are really, really healthy and happy there, why don't we combine those two magnets and create a third one, the so-called town-country magnet. So if you look up this, if you Google Ebenezer Howard Garden City, if you Google that, you will see a diagram of 3 U-shaped magnets. Yeah? This guy, as an accountant, comes up with the idea to create a central park, and this is a whole round city. A central place, or Crystal Palace, a central park with the Grand Avenue. There is actually railroad connecting, yeah? Different street sizes, and he comes up just about 1900 with the idea, let's actually dedicate land uses in a different way. Don't work and sleep in the same house. Have a happy place as called home, and travel maybe from this area here out here into the manufacturing belt and deal with manufacturing there. Have an easy commute, maybe even a walk. This is about 1900. Redburn was 1929, so it takes a little bit of time. Internet was not invented yet. It takes about a little bit of time to travel, get adopted, planners getting happy, investors getting happy. This guy financed this whole thing. Yeah? The idea was 99 years ownership, every resident is a shareholder in the corporation. So as wonderful this sounds for quality of life, this was also pretty much a concept of a private city, owned by the public, as in the residents. Also, the whole thing was the idea that about 58,000 live in the central city, and then they're connected with the railroad and other connections, like the high road here, to satellite cities of smaller scale, 32,000. Sometimes reference is 25, but that's kind of the original drawing. Why? Because he kind of calculated that this is a good size for a city, so it doesn't get into the trouble of the great city of London and get in trouble with sanitation, health issues, etc. Yeah?
Where was this at? Was this in the city of London or London?
UK, close by.
Which one was it, the city of London or London? And everybody doesn't know that's 2 different things.
Well, if you look at this map, this is what we consider now London.
Mm-hmm.
And he built actually 2 places, Welwyn and Letchworth. And they're pretty much now absorbed in the larger metro area. I'm not going to differentiate between London and London. It's like you differentiate now in a class like this.
Oh, I just didn't know. Was that originally built in the city of London district, or
No,
just
outside.
Okay.
Outside. Now, more than 100 years later, in Grove, got absorbed. Annexed in. Yeah? Same thing, like I don't differentiate in a historical review like this if it's Holland or Netherlands. Holland is
Well, right,
original,
but I mean,
yeah?
well, if you went to the city of London, there's no regulations for that area, so.
Yeah, no. So if you think London is usually like what, downtown, Thames River, Tower,
Yeah.
and all. No, this is one place here, up there. This is one other one. And the fascinating part is that he actually talks on the last page of his little write-up book that the great city must be destroyed and rebuilt. Like he talks like hundreds of pages like this. Build this, build this, build this, and then at the end, smack London, go Garden City. Which is interesting because in Germany, we actually had garden cities as similar as this concept. Yeah? So you have a major city there, and then with a short ride in the car or in a streetcar, you could connect to the next garden city. Lots of trees, lots of backyards, no apartment buildings, small homes, but private little empires. Yeah? Front yard, backyard, whatever scale you had. Alright, speaking of constructed cities then from a plan. So you have to remember, if you look up literature and say, hey, the great city, back then, Paris, London, New York, those have been known big great cities. Yeah? And then after World War II, in those 100 years, urban planning took over. People changed their attitude towards cities, how they want to perceive space and livability in cities. And one of the famous examples here is a master plan community, not really, but it's a huge city, Brasilia. Quick introduction on this, how this actually looks like. Yeah? How elements of that city actually look like. Big blocks, stretched out, linear setup. Versus an example on how to rebuild Paris by a Swiss-born architect, Le Corbusier. This is the Ile-de-Seine, this is where the Eiffel Tower is. Yeah? But he basically said, hey, let's build big towers. Yeah? As a contemporary city there. Same guy built actually or master planned the city of Chandigarh, which is in India. This is actually a picture from there. Yeah? So they have been thinking really crazy stuff. If you ever have a chance to go into an architectural exhibit on Le Corbusier, this guy put six-lane highways like ribbons flowing in between skyscrapers. Just thinking about, hey, transportation in the future needs to change. Why don't we move transportation a few notches up into the air, but still are car-based? Yeah? So really great ideas. So this is another example. Did I change it? Yeah. I used to keep that as Suntec City, but Suntec City is actually in Singapore. What you're seeing right now is a two-scale model of a privately owned city, which used to be a copper mine, where they dig out all the copper and pretty much filled this whole thing with a lagoon. This is a waveboarding, surfing place. So what we have in Orlando now with the water parks, that's in 2003. Privately owned. There's a high-tech manufacturing park there, there's a college as well, hotels. We are standing on, next picture taken is on top of this building. And please note there are tennis courts on top of the other building. Yeah? So the reason why I present this is we're talking about manufactured homes, master planned communities. Yeah? What's this? Homes. Master planned homes. So you have repurposing a mining area with a bunch of retail, hotels, and other fun uses. Looks great. Yeah, that's the lagoon. This is south of Kuala Lumpur. Yeah? High-speed train, half an hour back then. Yeah? Lagoon Tower, surf paradise, beaches. That is a light rail train connecting everything around. Yeah? Water park as well. And then you turn around and you see this is the vicinity of the metro area, Kuala Lumpur. Yeah? Those are not the towers, that's something else. But you can see here kind of the scale. If you look at the cars, townhomes, guessing today from that, didn't write down the size. 1,100 square foot, 2 floors, 2 bedroom. Yeah? Good luck buying this here. Yeah? But people loved it. But even the developer we had as a talk there said the problem with buildings like this is they're corroding. because they're using concrete and steel, and the subtropical or tropical climate there helps a lot to have those homes age fast. So the building substance is poor, usually. And in this case, if it's a private town, they're not necessarily keeping it up in terms of washing the facade and sealing it on a regular basis. But simple examples. Planned unit developments as well. This is an engineering drawing I pulled out in the idea of, okay, showing you something different. That's Settlers Market at Newtown. We're going to fly there in a moment. And the idea is how to read plans. You ever done this? Read a plan? You young gentleman. What's your name?
Sean.
Sean. Ever done to read a plan? Ever exposed to something like this, a site plan? Would you like to help us a little bit what this was, or give us guesses?
The little line inside of that parking spots, it looks like maybe it could be like a big apartment complex or something.
Alright. So this one?
Yeah, like that could be parking for.
That is parking, okay. These are parking, yeah.
So it could be like a community, like a big apartment community.
Somewhat right. Good. Any idea what this could be?
That could be like a retail.
Alright, you got that down. Okay. So the way this works, if you build a mixed-use development, planned unit development, in this case both, is they put big anchors here. Put the front street parking in front. Usually there's a little maintenance road behind it, yeah? But you don't see this is actually huge interstate coming up here. And the interesting concept here is that they combined major magnet stores, retail, magnet stores, destination, with smaller fun stuff as in retail and small offices, but mostly also condominiums. And if I remember right, I have now the pleasure to explore this. Let's see if this works. Don't open. So what I've tried is, for the really interesting examples, pull in actually the map. Don't care right now where it is exactly, but I want to show you actually how this is built up. Again, here you can see Walmart, a Michaels, Home Goods, Five Below, a Steinmart, and a Party City. Yeah? Then you see also, this is the difference between being built and already done. All this is not done yet. And you can see those are actually homes. Let's see if this works. Yeah. So not too bad. Two-door garage or two-car garages. You can see different styles of the homes. You can rotate a little bit. You can actually look inside of the home. That's actually really cool. Yeah. So you can get a feel how they actually put partitions in, etc. Yeah. Yes, please.
Did you say those were condominiums or townhomes?
Well, they're marketed as townhomes and condos. So if you see here, that's townhome style, but it also could be condos as well. In the site plan, they include different types at the same time. And in this, with Google here, you can see they're not built out yet. Let's go to the condo section. I think the condo section. They are not condos as in the condo tower. So if you look careful, the type of buildings here, yeah, is retail, combined uses, but mostly townhomes at this point. Yeah? However, I thought it was interesting to see how they actually blend into the environment, because if you look here right next to it, you look at this is also master planned retail experience. You see Barnes & Noble to the right, if you look at the Shaw and Fabrics. So all this are actually large box stores, but it's really done in a way of you drive slowly by, but also lots of pedestrian zone. That's actually cinema here. Yeah? So very interesting concept done with this. So going back to the slide, take a look again at Sunway City. For instance, I pull out all these examples. This is again Lagoon City, the lagoon I showed you earlier, and where I tested it. the 3D doesn't really work. Yeah, you can see there's topography change, but that's about it. Because there's not enough data available. But you can still get the idea of, very quick, you get the idea of this is that neighborhood I just showed you in the other picture. That whole city, all this is 80,000 people. Put that into the dimension of the last 80,000 people town you have been in. Yeah? They put everyone in these homes, same time. Which is not too bad because we have seen across the evolution of urban space that small type of townhomes are actually not so bad. City of Nuremberg is famous for a bunch of stuff, also for a company called Siemens. There's a whole neighborhood called Siemensstadt. Why? Because in the early 1900s, they actually, 1920 something, if I recall right, they built for their employees homes in small townhome starts. And they gave them special funding and special financing for it. Because they already realized back then this is important for the health of the families of the employees. And it was so definitely impacting that they actually call the whole neighborhood Siemens Town. So, not to underestimate that if you're in real estate, it's the wrong house, in real estate development, I keep telling my grad students all the time, you're making a difference to the community. You're leaving a legacy. You're putting a home up, putting a house up, you're putting an office building up. You financed that for 30 years, so you better get the idea that you actually maybe use it for 30 years, or it's beyond 30 years actually in duration. If you look at housing stock, if you want to buy a house right now, the cheap ones are 35 years and older, because you have to rehab them. And they're still standing, so that just because the financing is done, doesn't mean that the structure disappears. Alright, what else do I have here? What other famous planned cities do we know? Medford is an exotic example. If you're not in urban planning, you probably never will hear about it besides that chapter. What else? I haven't had the pleasure yet with talking to you. Hi, who are you?
Name's Ed.
Ed? Ed, any idea about other famous planned cities?
Besides the two you mentioned?
Paris is somewhat planned, but we're talking about planned city as in totally from scratch up on a piece of paper, napkin, let's build something, have a crazy idea. Gotta help me out again. Sean, okay.
Maybe Dubai.
Dubai, yeah. Dubai is doing some very cool projects, like master planning. Dubai is an example of no money as a barrier. There's some really cool projects. I had 10 years ago, no more than that, I had a student who was a construction manager for a Arabic government, and his minimum project was $1 billion US. That was a small scale project. $1 billion is small scale. Yeah?
Wasn't it like 20, 25 years ago, it was just, there was nothing there really, it was just desert?
Yep. Absolute. And so next Saturday, you guys know the YouTube channel for this class, for the real estate program. So next Saturday I have the principal and partner of EDSA Plan, which is a worldwide known landscape architectural firm here located in Fort Lauderdale. I have Kona Cray coming in as a guest speaker in the afternoon. And they do worldwide resort town planning. And they're building something, planning elements on something that's called New Cairo. It's not like 300,000, it's like millions of people built as new towns. And they are doing a landscape architectural master plan, which is 12 or 15 times the length of Central Park in New York, as one planned development. Just the landscape on that. That's what they're focusing on. They also built the Atlantis Hotel in the Bahamas, on Paradise Island. and other places worldwide. And they're also having a great example on, it's called Red Sands. Red Sands, which is a golf course on a piece of sand. They actually literally added more sand to it and built a whole town villa, little flare town around that, at the Red Sea, Middle East. They're doing a lot of stuff now in Middle East and China. So the reason why I'm asking for the YouTube channel is when he gives that presentation, we will upload that presentation. It's just mind-blowing what kind of projects they do. And they start with teams of 6 or 8 people on the table, piece of paper, starting to sketch. Yeah? And one of the greatest examples as in check your ego out at the door and be just creative and be inspired with your team. Yeah? All right. Other famous planned cities, good example of Dubai and Saudi Arabia and all these. Anything closer?
Like Buena Vista, like where Disney's at? I don't know.
All right, got that. Let's see, which one is that one? Who knows this one? Someone,
Is that in the Panhandle by chance? Is that
who
38?
knows this one? It's a seaside.
Hey, actually, I live there. That's my parents live there.
You live in the town where the Truman Show was filmed?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All
You
right.
can literally see my house on that picture.
So the idea is here is like little boutique homes, and famous as in the Truman Show, you can see they're all somewhat the same. Please give me some pictures. When next time you're at home, walk the street, take pictures. I give you photo credit because this is the interesting part of this town here. You can see it's really neat, but the way they constructed this town plaza, yeah, all that is different. And it got famous because they actually put the Truman Show in there. People actually thought it was all just Truman Show stage scene. No, what they did is they took the real thing and then maybe put some CGI on it, maybe change the coloring also, and all that. Story is also the House of Truman is actually a senator's place, and they restored that completely as well. Yeah? But again, in case you all get bored at some time in other classes, not in mine, play with Google Earth or Google Maps. It's really cool nowadays with 3D. Now, this is the other example. I think Gabe, you mentioned that. That's a Disney town. Yeah. Celebration, you can see they seem to be the same pattern. Can you see that? Three windows here, front porch. Orange, blue, grayish, slightly different maybe. Yeah. Same thing. If you rotate, they all look the same. Yes, please, Sean.
So this falls under manufactured homes and single-family homes?
This works more in the example of a completely planned community. Yeah? Master planned rather than manufactured. They're all getting manufactured. How are we building homes most of the time? Frame buildings. How do you do the trussing in the attic and the roof? It's usually prefabricated pieces. Truck is coming, drops them off, and you actually put them back up. Yeah. So you do actually lift them depending on the size of the house. You just pull them by hand with the ladders. Yeah.
So,
But yes, please.
so like when you're on Zillow looking for a house, and then they give you an option either homes or manufactured. So what would be the difference like?
That is going with the stereotype. That's going with the stereotype as in if it's manufactured, it's this very long container-like with a sloped roof, and it's like you would drive out here and go into, let's say, past the golf course, the 2 hours and the public one. Yeah. If you pass that, you see some of those communities where they actually look like cigar boxes lined up. That would be the stereotype manufactured. Yeah, because in theory, you can take that whole home, put it on a trailer, and drive it somewhere else. Yeah? Ever seen those movies where they get stuck on the railroad crossing with a house in the back, and they shoot through with a dream? Those types. Flat, long, stereotype, lower value, not necessarily in a neighborhood with $1 million incomes and all that. Yeah? I try to polarize here, but I want to be also a little bit correct. I think there are also wonderful livable communities, but they struggle with a lot of things. Yeah? I had friends living there because of their economic situation. Still a great person, but the person didn't make more than $50,000 a year in an area where you can't afford housing with that income. So commute out, live there. Not the easiest neighborhoods. There's probably more, who said crime, security, probably a little bit more need for security and 911 calls than in the other homes. Alright, so the idea on this kind of presentation to get you outside of the classroom using Google and jump into the wild world is, if we talk about residential products, there's a vast difference in product types. So if you start thinking about, okay, what could I do as a property management and deal with them, there's also a different, depending on the value of the homes, there's also a different margin that you will do for property management. Yeah? So James gave you kind of that kind of idea as well, how many margins you have and how innovative do you need to be to deal with this. All right. Well, I want to lean into the idea of what about using mixed uses. And the example here from the planned unit development, the farmers market is one. Mixed use is defined as 3 revenue-generating land uses in a project. That's a standard Urban Land Institute ULI definition. Do I have a slide? Yeah. Actually, this one you don't need. You don't need stuff that I do. Mixed use, you got cities networks as the balance of jobs, housing, and retail. We have seen that example earlier. Everything is happy. We've got to add some urban plans to it. Lineberger is a very famous author as well that deals with the dynamics in urban space. Argues that there's a combination of functions. Again, working, living, shopping. Yeah. But again, the classic fundamental definition is balance of mixed work, 3 generating uses. Work, service, living, activities. Yeah. And if you forget which one is what, because work could be office or retail or something, 3 revenue generating land uses. It's one of those definitions I will repeat a few times. Because people are saying, yeah, let's do mixed use building. Let's put some retail on the bottom and then 2 condominiums or apartment floors at the top. It's a combination of uses. Technically, it's not a mixed use. Because in mixed use, risk is a different animal. Retail, office, restaurants, sub-direct categories of retail, bars, they have different risk factors involved in the financing and building them and running them. And in real estate, it's even worse. We need one more moment to type because I really would like to change the flag. We actually differentiate between land uses in mixed use and the risk factor. You can have the shared premises in one. You can now have a time dimension. I'm missing my 2, number 3. Here we go. And the important part to differentiate is horizontal and vertical. The examples we have seen in this little exercise on looking at different plans was you had one magnet function, like a Home Depot or a Walmart. Across the parking lot, you started with townhomes, or condominium-style townhomes, corporates, or something like this. Yeah? Subcategories between condominiums, townhomes, and then cooperatives. They actually buy, let's say, in a 4-unit place, 2 units on the bottom, 2 units on the top, and run this through a homeowner association. Yeah? The classic way we have seen examples now is horizontal dimension. Remember I talked about facing? If this doesn't work out, if this is working, this works as well, but then my market collapses or my numbers are not good enough anymore, I'm not building this anymore. There was a reason why I could see the Home Depot Walmart section, Michael's was, yeah, was already built out and some of the townhomes not. Some have been ready, some have been not even put on the ground yet. Why? Because you're putting this out in a different finance model. You're phasing them out. They are sometimes refinanced before you don't build the building before it's actually leased out with X amount of tenants. You know? Why would I build that tower with 200 units in it if nobody wants to come? I would like to have someone that's in pre-sales and saying, yeah, we're building this within the next year. Would you like to put down $100,000 and pay the rest over time? Yes, please.
So when they do pre-sales like that, do people get a discount when they do pre-sales like that?
Depends on your marketing department and how well you can finance everything. You would hope.
Yeah.
You would hope if you pre-finance or pre-sale, or let's say a condominium for $600,000, you would hope that you get a discount because you can't move in the next year. That is private contracts. On that note, just check it out. Look what's going on in Miami, if they do it over here in Fort Lauderdale. Check the projects they're putting up right now, if they're already sold or not, what's the current price, and then a year later you come back and say, how did they change? I used to live close by in a city called Wilmington, Delaware. Everyone who has a credit card in this room knows Wilmington, Delaware, because that's where your credit card company is located, mailing you the paper bills. They built apartment complexes before 2008, where before that building was actually completed, condos and apartments have been flipped 2 or 3 times. Buy it for 100, sell it for 130 6 months later. It's not even built yet. And then sell it again. And you wonder why the market collapsed. Just because of the great location of that place, and it was dirt cheap to finance. Dirt cheap to finance is not this one. We talk about risk. Why would the vertical dimension be a complicated thing to finance? Who did I not have yet? Diego, you didn't say anything yet in class. Hi.
Hi.
Any idea why vertical dimension of mixed use could be problematic to finance?
I'm not sure.
Alright, give you a hint. What about risk?
Could you repeat the question?
What about risk?
Yeah.
What is less risk? This type of putting land uses together or this type?
I guess I'd go with horizontal dimension with less risk.
Horizontal is less risk. Why is horizontal again less risk?
Because it's split.
You can phase it out, you can split it, you can abandon it. If I put in 2 floors of parking garage into the ground, can't do that in Florida, but well, you might not be in Florida all your life. If you put 2 or 3 floors, or even more, floors of parking into the ground, just because of the foundation, you don't need to go 2 floors down. And then the market collapses, or you have trouble financing. Can you stop building this building halfway? Oh yeah, you can. Will you finish it? Will you be able, if it is 8 floors, and you run out of construction money and whatever reason, can you finish this 2 or 3 floors on the bottom and have everything else on the top undone? Not really. That's what you see if you run down to Miami to the Brightline station. There's one building that looks like a parking garage structure, completely rusty, halfway. The ramp is like 2/3 up for the next floor. Why? Because they had financing issues, I think even with 2008 back then, still. And now you have solid, reinforced concrete standing on the lot, and nobody wants to sell it, or wants to have more money than anyone is interested in, and how do you approach that? That's a good question. Town I spent 5 years of my life in They call the place on that in downtown the so-called the hole, because they dig out a hole. Think this classroom, twice the area, about 1.5, 2 times the size, depth. Dig out a hole, started with the pilling, started with the foundation, went bankrupt, bailed out, weird financing, sold, next company, same thing, couldn't deal with it. And then 2006, 2008 happened, all that. There was a site for at least 5 or 7 years, 7 years I think total, under construction, not used, in straight downtown of a small little town. Yeah? Think about that, if you would have, let's make it here a campus. Instead of the student union building, you would just have a big hole. 5, 6 years. That's lost income, lost community sense. Yeah? Not really cool. Alright, so vertical dimension is a problem because you can't really stop building this whole thing. You've got to finish it. Hopefully in one piece. Yeah? Therefore your financing is different. The risk of financing is different. The returns wanted might be higher. Because people are saying, hey, you're going to put 8 floors up. You only make money on those condominiums and penthouse suites, yeah, if you're finishing the whole building. Nobody wants to walk into a retail store, shopping lobby area, and you have still construction going on. Nobody's doing that. All right, mixed use in practice. Well, this is Arlington, DC area across the river. Yeah, actually, this is in real life. I actually found this on the internet. I actually walked this. These are restaurants, and then behind here is actually screened parking. Looks like apartments, yeah, on the left side. And this is the Clarendon Center right next to Georgetown Station. This is actually a rendering. Yeah, that's what we wanted to have it look like. How does this look like in real world as well? One example from Cincinnati. Trying to do this again. And when I talk about mixed use, I'm talking about 2 different things. One is old school clustered mixed uses. You can see here a bunch of homes, apartments on top. You see retail, restaurants on the bottom. We'll see this in closer. Yeah? Same thing here, restaurants, ice cream shop, best ice cream in town. A fire station is on the other side. This is a little park where they actually do small concerts in the evenings if needed. It's a really cool place. This is a mixed-use development. They tried to build 2 floors down, figured out they have issues with groundwater control, so that's the reason why they actually said the parking garage is now only 1 floor down, 1 level down, changed the financing. This is a $14.5 million building, and was a failure. This space here supposedly was to go into be a Starbucks. At that same time, Starbucks decided not to expand in more branches. So they lost that as a retailer. Last time I passed that, there was a yoga studio and arts gallery. The yoga studio is this entrance here. Yeah? And that's the arts gallery down there, temporarily rented out for the arts club. Yeah? This part here is actually the entrance to the garage. Penthouse, last time I checked, was not sold as well. Beautiful place. I wrote my dissertation about that building. So, how does this look now? Right now, this is Hyde Park Square in Cincinnati. So the pictures you've seen is this building. Let's scroll down so you get a little bit of different flair and different perspective. So this is the example here. This used to be a gas station. They teared that down, did a rebuild. If you rotate this, this is actually the library next to it. But you also can get an idea that this is a very small little gem in a larger city, where you can see the Park Island and the little building around it. If you ever be in Cincinnati, this place right up the street here, best burgers in town. Yeah? But then you zoom out, and you can see there's a different character in layout, interstate, big retail, if you ever consider to come to my real estate program as a graduate student, unless I change it, you are actually doing a site plan for this retail site here. I might have to change it because I really built it out. But you can see here, as a planned development, again, this is just pure ugliness. There's no other word for that. All right. Hey, you're gonna deal with some aesthetics at some point in time, you know. But this comes back to planned unit development. We're talking about PUDs a little bit later. Just wanted to push the button here a little bit. Gesundheit. Planned unit development is its own little zoning description. So we're talking about residential land uses. Residential land uses are defined by zoning ordinances. Each house we have seen is built on a piece of property. A piece of property has a zoning code attached to it. It's a legal description of what you are allowed to do based on the policing powers of that city, of that town. Yeah? We're doing that now in the third session. Next week, today we're doing all teasers, all the visuals, all the crazy concepts. Next week, we're going to go a little bit more in depth into, let's say, market structures, supply and demand. That's most of it. Functional models, coming back a little bit with dynamics, regional economics, all that. And then I come in close with law. Yeah? So super exciting today. Next week, maybe not so. And then law, for some people, it's really exciting. Some people just need to breathe through it. Yeah? All right. Own zoning district, one centralized management, and the incentives, do I have that? No. Is one incentive is really there. You present this as one big piece in front of a city council or the planning and zoning commission. You'll see coming in and saying, here, listen, your zoning code is so messed up, that's French for messed up, that we would like to do something in here which your zoning code, your regulations do not allow. Because zoning defines how much you're allowed to build in density, how many dwelling units per acre you're allowed to put up, yeah? How many residential units you're allowed to put up as well. PUD can change those rules. You just sit down and communicate well what your plan is. You sell the plan to the city, and in some of the cases of PUD, you're doing something completely different after they grant you the right to be your own zoning district. Because you have a contract with the city to develop all this, and now you can change it because the future development, the transit-oriented development here, we actually have updated our retail study, and we need 10,000 square foot of retail space in addition to what we had already. Why don't we just cut a little bit from the TUD here? One bus stop less, doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, you end up with completely different layouts. It's a fun story. I'm not going to present all these failures and craziness. But if you ever start with PUD, make sure you're being an honest person. Yeah? That you actually say, hey, this is what we really want to do, and we will deliver that. I have, in other classes I teach, I actually have a series of slides where I say, this is the nice drawing, this is the rendering of this community, and then the next picture is a real world photo 5 years after it was built. They even changed the trees in one of the examples. Yeah? As in beautiful leaf trees, big grounds, and then you have small Christmas trees in the real world. Can't do that unless you want to do one project only and disappear from that community and never have seen again, never been seen again. So planned unit development, one centralized management. If you talk about retail and or property management, they are running this as one big company, making sure that all the tenants are happy. Yeah? It's a really cool thing. If you ever get your hands on a PUD from scratch into the end, not just like coming in and maybe manage a few of these properties, it's a really cool process. I would also, give me a moment, I also would encourage you, doesn't matter what kind of major you have during your college times. if you have the time to go to the local planning and zoning meeting of the town your college is located in, or your hometown, yeah, it is worth it. You might not understand all the things they say because there are some procedures and special terms we will cover. Yeah? But it's interesting to see what's going on in the community and how an engineering company comes in completely in a suit and a display board, and then you see a zoning commissioner sitting there in jeans and t-shirt because he's a kid from the neighborhood, yeah? And running all this in the interest of the community. Really cool. There are also lots of fighting involved. If you would Google planning and zoning commission meetings, some people throw punches in the extreme cases. I got excited during my career as a planner on every dawn, that's a technical term, dawn, fence permit and deck permit. You build a home, you buy a home from a home builder, you see all these model homes, model houses with a really cool barbecue deck. You buy it, and then you realize, hey, I don't want to add the $15,000 for the deck right now. Just okay with the home, so you get the house. 2 years later, you're like, I really would like, or even a year later, I really would like to have the barbecue deck now. But you need a permit for that, because the building was done without. Then you realize that barbecue deck was never actually allowed, and now you go in front of council and asking for a variance to change the law and the permit, yeah, because zoning is law. And that's really great. One guy gets it, the other one doesn't get it, and they're neighbors. So there's going to be lots of fun on that. Okay? So, very short introduction for this one right now. We come back on the legal side eventually for this, because a lot of large developments are using PUD to manage all the phasing and the risk and making sure that nobody else is going to change the recipe for their soup. Yeah? Because once this is accepted here, own zoning district, you can do what you want in the setup of your zoning district. In theory, you could change it, or at least the execution you can change. Very, very tricky sometimes. Planning a zoning meeting, gotta do it at least once in your lifetime. If you do a property management or real estate, at least once in your educational time, gotta do it. 2 hours of fun. Boring or extremely fun. Fence permits, again, best example ever. I used to work for the P&C Commission where the homeowners would call the cops on the planning commissioner because he would walk the property, trespassing. But he would walk the property to literally take a look behind the fence to make sure that the application they wrote is valid and he can actually grant them his vote. Yeah? So it's like, yeah, the police chief showed up. I'm like, what did he do? Well, he took his bicycle, drove down there, checked it out. Yeah? No fences, nothing, brand new development. And some people have been really upset about this guy running around. Lived for 40 years in the same community. Yeah? But new people don't know that. So the only reason why you know that is because you participate in community events like that. Remember that when you buy a home, there are certain things you should do. Stereotype, cookies for the neighbors. It's hard in the condominium tower, I understand. Cookies for the neighbors. If you have family with kids, figure out who are good play dates. Go to the local community center. It's one thing to figure out what's going on. Check with local zoning, planning and zoning. Planners are your friends. They are going to have a ball with you. If you come into a local community planning department and say, hey, I just bought this house, actually you should go there when you buy the house. Hey, I want to buy this house, tell me about it. So you know everything about the laws on the property. Yeah? But you also want to show up a second time and say, hey, I want to rehab the house, what can I do? They really truly love that. Rather than coming in, boom, here's my application, here are my plans, approve. No, they actually like to communicate with people. And what else? Might be a little bit old school, depending on your religious background. Check out the places of worship, because that's also a great way to get connected to the families and communities. So I sound like an old guy, but I'm still doing this. Wherever I move, I check out 2 or 3 of these elements. Yes, please.
Are there like specific things that determine how strict a district will be with like their zoning? Because like I know Sunrise, the city of Sunrise, like their code enforcement is like one of the strictest, like it's really strict.
Yeah.
Is there something that specifically determines that?
Oh yeah, the biggest complaint about zoning ordinances and zoning code is they are too big. Everyone will tell you, hey, let's have a streamlined overlay zoning code. Every new town manager that comes in or planning director will tell you, hey, I would like to have less code. It's almost like Texas. 10,000 pages of IRS code versus 10 pages. Make the numbers up in this case, but it's really complicated. Zoning is the same way. POD, I've seen PODs written in 30 pages legal description. Like, in the zone, you shall not do this. And writing this like commandments. Yeah? You shall not do this. You shall do this. Yeah? And that's it. The zoning code of the city of Cincinnati in early 2000s, the last time I really looked into that, was a binder printed out like this thick. Fairly condensed. I just invite you, open up the web browser after the class and go to the city of the town of Davie, city of Plantation, city of Fort Lauderdale. Small towns are usually a little bit shorter. But just take a look at the comprehensive plan. This is where they state the vision and the goals for the next 20 years. So if you want to know how Nova Drive and College Avenue and the whole sector this way to Davie Road and Publix will look like in the next 15 years, they wrote that down already in legal description and design. You cannot build higher than 4 floors on the street front, but you can do 6 floors if you step the last one. Remember the building in Cincinnati? The 5th and 6th floor had steps. That is design and building and zoning code. So you don't have 6 floors up like a skyscraper. You're not like Las Olas, like no, you have that kind of Washington DC level. Everything is in kind of the same visual design. And if you ever walk through a street and you make this sign, everyone's laughing in my site planning class. This is the urban designer rule. Street width, building height. I actually can see the kind of scale there. Like literally in Las Olas, stand there. New York City, stand there. It's really cool. If you are doing a field trip with students like we did in Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, you end up suddenly standing in a street which is 300 yards wide. Yeah, something's off. So, some cool stuff. All right. Factors of residential developments. So we've been talking about the legal ways, the form over history, the changes in plans and ideas. Garden City as more livable city. We have been looking at different structures. We haven't really talking about who's actually living in there. Does this make sense? We haven't had the pleasure yet. Who are you? Hi.
Basically,
Vasily? Okay. Is it Vasily?
D as in they, basically.
Ah, Vasily, okay. Do you mind finding maybe some extra examples, or what do I mean with lifestyle and stages of life?
The lifestyle.
What are stages of life?
You look good, though, right?
I usually ask students, are you Snapchatting me? Please don't.
If you want me to give you an example.
Yeah, lifestyle and stages of life.
For example, if there is senior, people in a certain age that they live in a big community and they are very unknowing of having children around, for example. If that's
Yep.
a specific
I
example.
think that's the next slide. No, not it.
Um,
We call them adult communities.
exactly.
55 plus plus, 65 plus plus. Adults only. The only kids that are allowed in there are your grandkids on a Sunday afternoon to visit for coffee and cake.
The opposite would be here, the student community.
Exactly. When we talk about stages of life, you must think about your last marketing class. Yes, I know you hated marketing, but there's something really cool about consumer segmentation and market segmentation. because it works the same way with you in your lifestyles, in your life. Yeah? So I asked earlier, how many garages do you have or your parents have? Based on the stage of life you're in right now, college, I would assume you are piling up student loans rather than paying a mortgage for a garage. Yeah? So paying on your major or minor is probably management, but paying on your major, you might have a specific pattern in your life. My classic experience where I dropped my gin on the table in my first lecture in marketing was my marketing professor walking up to this guy and saying, so you're sports economics? Yeah? Like the only guy in shorts and a big sports bag. And this is a kid, yeah. Microeconomics, 800 people in the auditorium. Microeconomics, the same guy got kicked out. Marketing. So you're doing sports? Mm-hmm. All right. That professor started to list the content of that sports student, physical activity student, by brand name and price level of the yogurt. And you're sitting there, like, okay. I don't have, let's make it a US example, ice cream. Everyone has Ben & Jerry's in their fridge? Probably not, because Ben & Jerry's might not here actually you can buy it now, but not all the flavors, and it's not really cheap. But the other one, the Breyers, vanilla, it's great, cheap, big. Same thing with chips. Yeah? There's for every income possibility the amount of chips available. Small bags, big bags, really fatty ones, oven baked, non-GMO. Everything is available. When was the last time you bought a ready-made pizza for baking it in the oven? If you live on campus, you only have what? A microwave, maybe. Yeah? They don't have a shared kitchen, to my knowledge. Do they now?
Depends on which ones you live in.
Like a stove where you can actually put.
You live in the apartment style, yeah.
Alright. Alright. Are you going to, what kind of pasta do you buy? Are you a snob when it comes to Italian pasta and you buy only original Barilla? And you're willing to pay almost $2 a box? Yeah? This comes from a guy who knows his fair share about ramen noodles. I still eat that. After a long day of class tonight, I might do some ramen noodles. Lots of liquids, a little bit carbs. I'm going to take some ginger and grate fresh ginger on top of it. I gotta pimp this food up a little bit. Told you 8 o'clock is the same. Around 8 o'clock I start talking food. Yeah? So a little bit of inspiration about food, passion, get this thing rolling. So stages of life. Every different stage has its pros and cons. Lifestyle, income. Yeah? You in high school. Income? Maybe working for McDonald's, Paperboy, or something else. I'm pulling stereotype examples. Yeah? Well, Shark Cage Kids is like, yeah, I made my first $500,000 with my first 3 business ideas. Stacey's like, yeah, I wish. And living at home, maybe your own car, depending on the lifestyle and stages of life of your family, that car was a 10-year-old used car from the neighbors down the street, or your dad took you somewhere else and you bought a brand new one. Been there, done that. I had a used car for 3 days and my older sister hijacked it. Never seen that car again. Literally drove like 50 miles total on that car. Well, different legends. She graduated from high school, she needed to have a car. Germany, you graduate with, get your driving license for 18 back then. And she started an apprenticeship, she needed to commute. I had 3 bicycles at that time, so everyone was like, yeah, you own a bike, she gets a car. Versus a kid with 2 medical doctors in the family, brand new Volkswagen Golf. Different stages, different perception of money in that. Now you're in college. Own a car? Still the same car until you buy a new one? No. Has your income changed? Slightly. Maybe you got a scholarship. Maybe you're working a different job. Maybe you changed city. Maybe you changed state. Some of you maybe changed continents. Been there, done that. So what are you going to do after graduation? You're like what, 2 years away? 1 year away? Yeah? What are you doing after graduation? The biggest challenge when you talk about stages of life for an average age of what, 18, no, 19, 20 in this room right now? Gabe, give me a representation, the number, what's the average age in this class? I'm not going to ask you guys.
The average age, I don't know.
A good guess.
Probably like 20,
20
and a half,
Alright.
21.
Can you tell me what you're going to do with 25? Can you tell me what you're going to do with 30? Everyone who knows 28 right now is old compared to you. Yeah? Taught class on Saturday talking about technology changes. I'm that old that, comparing that software to something else. I'm that old that. Yeah? The picture I showed you guys about Sunway City, that lagoon thing, is 15 years old. Yeah. Been there, done that. So stages of life, they're different. Remember the last time you broke up with your girlfriend or boyfriend? You might be 30 and you get divorced. Sell the house, pay alimony and child support. Stages of life. Talk to your friends, it is happening. Millennials do things different. They're not getting the job anymore and then move for the job. They might move actually and find a job there where they want to live. That's the reason why people really like Colorado now. Job-wise and outdoors. Yeah? That's also the reason why people are moving, let's say, to Boise, Idaho. I need to verify that, but I had a bunch of friends telling me it's the fastest growing metropolitan area in the United States. People are moving to Idaho with more people and more density over time than actually to Miami or South Florida or LA.
They also say Jacksonville's growing pretty quick.
Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, North Florida.
Oh, Czechs. Yeah, never been there. I know a bunch of people diving up there.
It's pretty boring.
Apparently great diving. So, but again, think about the stages of life. Challenge yourself and think about what are you going to do after graduation. Well, I'm going on vacation. Yeah, that's easy, but where? Well, it depends on my budget. Lifestyle, stages of life. Yeah? Stages of life and lifestyle is also the idea of, hey, let's go shopping in a thrift store. Hey, let's go to IKEA. IKEA is a lifestyle center. Believe it or not, it is. You can find for every income and every attitude in the way you want to build your house or transform your place at IKEA. Don't do it without a shopping list. I get lost at IKEA all the time. Yeah? Say what?
Huge.
Did you say huge or H?
Huge.
Both. I was just looking at senior citizens and was like, okay, fine. Alright. No, we're not doing a field trip to IKEA. But it's a great place to hang out. Age of residence, Cecilia? Vasily? Okay. So Vasily, like with a D. Okay. I need to read your name and I understand. As she said, senior citizens versus college age. Different lifestyles. Single parents are different than two parents and two kids in a home. Single parent apartment versus home, small little white picket fence, different attitude. Yeah? Different lifestyle. And okay, income is important. Yeah? And also here, the willingness to live in specific housing type. If you can afford a $600,000 home, you could also, in theory, afford a $600,000 condominium. Or you still rent, put the money in the bank. Yeah? Different perception of lifestyle. I don't like condominiums, but I'm a real estate guy. I don't like that. I'm not happy with just a balcony. Drive into the garage, take the elevator, say hi to the concierge? No. I rather don't know the people 6 houses down, but in case of a hurricane, I have at least 4 neighbors knocking my door and making sure that I'm okay. It's different. Housing tenure, we talked about this as well, and I mentioned this here, plans for life. When was the first time your parents bought a house? You live maybe in the second or third home meanwhile. Your parents might have moved, they upgraded. We talk about a concept that's called empty nesters. Yeah? Think about that. If you and your siblings are done with college, are your parents going to stay in the same house? Maybe. Maybe. Are they going to stay in the same house when they're 60 and 70? Maybe not anymore. Concept of empty nesters means, why do I need to live in 2,000 square foot if nobody else is around? If there are no grandkids around to visit you on a regular basis, so what? Let's sell it. Find a condo, find a different state. That's the next challenge for you guys. All the old people in the old homes. And so, actually not a challenge, it's a great opportunity for you. Because when you are like 30 or 35 and based on the millennial status, remember the idea of, hey, housing and owning a house might be something. All the old people are willing to sell their homes and you can buy them for cheap. And rehab. Yeah? This brings us to the other idea that you might deal with a new thing. Yeah? That the population over 65, this ends here 2010 because it's dealing with census data, which is all every 10 years, so we're up here soon. That the total percentage of the population, total population of old people is rising. What does this mean for your community and your property management?
No loud parties.
I haven't had the pleasure yet of listening to your lovely voice. Hi, how are you doing? Polly, how are you doing?
I don't know.
All right. Try to be creative thinking. You have seen old people. You have seen me. Yeah? You have seen other professors. You have grandparents. You have friends with grandparents. What do they do? Maybe you have grandparents, you know. What do they do?
More quiet.
More quiet. Don't be disrespectful. Teddy, what do they do?
I mean, my family's really religious, so they just kind of pray a lot.
Okay. So community service, places of worship, more engaged in that. What else?
Watch TV.
Watch TV. Okay, that's not really one of the activities. See, what do Germans do?
I don't know.
You don't know? Any observation?
Judge other people.
Judge other people. Yeah. So the stereotype old person or senior resident in Germany is like leaning on the windowsill and looking out and checking what's going on. And maybe call what we have here as neighborhood watch. Like literally leaning over like all day long. Very bad. Well, if they have nothing else to go, they do that. Here we have a different idea. Empty nesters means they're selling the home because they're still mobile and healthy enough to do something new. You know? Just getting older here, in this case 65 years and older, doesn't mean that you're immobile. It doesn't mean that you're just sitting every day at home because everything hurts. What you get is you get a hip replacement or a knee replacement and you're rocking life again, depending on your health insurance plan. There are tools and incentives now to change your stages of life and your lifestyle. And that's the key. Because now you suddenly have two ideas. A, these old people, my parents would yell at me for that comment. They're more mobile, but more quiet and maybe a little bit slower. But they're still doing, let's say, vacation travels. And they do different vacations than you and I do. Their camping is a 3-star hotel, looking at the mountain, not on top of the mountain. Yeah? Or 4-star. There are two different ways. One, the elderly that get unhealthy. Great opportunity for the health sector. Property management, assisted living, huge. We talked 15 years ago in Delaware about the idea of push more assisted living in the southern counties. Rehoboth Beach, Dewey Beach, those beach places up there. All the old, senior citizens from, let's say, the Jersey area, Philadelphia, moved down there. Yeah? That's a large trend still. Used to be Florida. Why do they move to Delaware? Because it's good enough south already to stay close to family in Long Island, New York, or New Jersey, Pennsylvania. They're 3 or 4 hours away, so families still can come and hang out with you and don't have to fly or drive 14 or 15 hours one way. And housing prices and quality of housing was good enough. Again, assisted living means you have an apartment style building, condo building, but you have, let's say, a canteen, restaurant, food court style thing going on with medical supervision. In Germany, places like that actually have even motion detectors and timers. If there was no motion detected, let's say at 9 o'clock in your bedroom, they will check on you. Or 9 o'clock in the common area as in your hallway and your living room. You might even have a small kitchenette to do your own food still. Or you go with a meal plan, depending on how healthy you want to live and how healthy you are in terms of cooking. Yeah? Versus, well, that 70-year-old just did bike for 6 hours on a race bike and has no sweat. And you're just looking at them and it's like, I'm out of shape. Huh? Different ways, different stages of life. Yes, I'm talking about old people, but think about that. In 5 years, you're looking back to college and you're looking at your younger siblings in college. They're doing college a completely different way. Online classes, 10, 15 years ago, online classes. 15 years ago, a cell phone was like big as a mortar brick. Yeah, not right. Could throw this and kill him. No violence, please, okay? So, if you talk about residential developments, it's not single-family home and apartment buildings. It's lifestyle changes and their manifesto. Depending on the lifestyle, your income, your ideas of life, you will have the opportunity to rent anything of those types. You'll be able to buy it or you build it on your own. Custom-built homes. Someone with $30,000 in annual income probably will not build a custom home, yeah, of multiple hundred thousands. But it's possible as we time. All right. What do we need then for a residential market assessment? Any idea of the targeted product? Yes. Because if you're a real estate developer or a property manager, you have to deal with markets. Putting the stuff into the ground, building it and selling it, that makes sense. Why would be market research or market assessment relevant for property management? And who didn't? I did not have you yet, did I? And I didn't know your name as, I haven't asked you for your name as well. Let's start with you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
Carl? Okay.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Question?
Yeah, just like reword it, I guess, because I didn't get the first word.
Alright. It's time for a small break, huh? It's like, alright. As a property manager, why would you need a market assessment or market analysis?
To know if it's going to be worth your investment.
Alright. You do not own the property as a property manager, do you? What do you do as a property manager? You run it for someone. What's your responsibility?
To bring in residents?
Bring in residents. Alright. How do you bring in residents?
By studying your demographic.
Exactly. So for a little bit more time, we're going to talk about market delineation, travel time. I mentioned you guys, I'm a big fan of travel time. Yeah. It's not anymore, it's 2 miles down the road. No, it's 5 minutes drive or 10, X minutes of walk, depending where you're at. Do we walk in Florida? No. Exactly. But Every trip you do with your car starts with what? Walking to your car. And here it's just in the parking garage. So in the worst case, you've got to make sure that the parking garage is good looking. Yeah? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the analytics of what and where and whom. Yeah? Basically saying, depending on the type of my analytics, I need to be aware of my geographic unit I'm interested in. Data for purchase, yeah. Geographic unit is the important part. We're going to differentiate between, let's say, two major elements. If you look at census data, that feeds, let's say, demographics, social demographics, econ data. The census splits into little pieces like census, states, regions, states, counties, census tracts, and you can see block group, block. Block is like a street block. Super, super, super detailed. But they are not going to report all the details they are going to get in the so-called census survey. Because if you have, let's say, $1 million income on this one block, and I pick an ethnicity, let's say Asian, yeah, because your neighbor is from China originally, immigrated and is a dentist, then on that block, everyone probably knows that this family has that specific income. So if you look up the block numbers, you will see that. But you would be easily identifiable. And therefore, they mask all the data and zoom out, literally like Google Maps, they zoom out and say, hey, in this neighborhood of a few census block groups, we have 20% Asian ethnicity, and the income levels range from 100,000 to 1 million. So now you don't know exactly anymore where is what, and who's what, and how rich or not. Yeah? But you still have the ability to say the average income level in that area is X dollars. So most of the reporting you will see is census tracts or block groups. And they used to be really good. You might have seen it in the reporting in the news. There have been discussions about if should be certain questions edited and added to the census. So we'll see what's going on in 2020 when they do that. It's actually federal law to fill it out, I think. Yeah, last time I got one. But it's a really cool idea of what's going on actually in the country based on the residents. Yeah? And who's who, what you do as income, what's your education level at this time when they ask, etc. Why is this important? Because the moment I know where people live, what they do, what they earn, how much money they might have saved or left over at the end of the month, we call it disposable income. Yeah? If you're a student, there's so much month left after the money is gone. But people, life changes. At the end, you have income and you have actually money left. You can actually make predictions. Hey, if I build something here, there are certain patterns that might repeat. In retail, it's interesting. You can say, hey, I have a new mall coming up. How many millions of people or millions of purchasing dollars are in that market within our drive time? The American Dream Mall in Miami has the same problem. I actually have a slide later. Because they are so-called a destination mall. People will drive more than just 3 hours or more than an hour there. It's like Orlando. You are willing to drive to Universal Studios to get some roller coaster action. 3 hours one way. Worst case, you drive late night to drive back because you don't want to invest into the park ticket and the hotel. Yeah? Would you drive 3 hours for a hamburger? Nah. You call your roommate and say, hey, do a hamburger run, 6 people order. Huh? Do a food run. So again, there's a willingness to travel, a willingness to do things across space, a willingness to pay a few things. If this is the last bottle of water in this class and we have 2 hours to go, are you willing to pay for that water before you collapse? Maybe. Yeah? My old microeconomics professor gave the example of price paradoxon. the idea between air and diamonds. And in Germany, we're like, oh, diamonds? What? Diamonds? 20-year-old students, diamonds? Here's a big thing. It's engagement ring stuff. Yeah? So, why is a diamond so expensive? In air, we can breathe for free. Good question, huh?
Isn't it that diamonds, there's like a set amount of diamonds in air, like you breathe it in, you exert carbon monoxide, but then the plants do the whole process and we get air.
No, let's make it a little bit more provocative. It's very simplified. There's a different value accounting for it. Because there are apparently less diamonds in the world of that purity, that cut, etc., that size, than air, because air I have. So we'll detail in the beginning what I do for my fun job. How do I inspire students in the other way? I do teach in classrooms and I help to teach in a pool. So, if you're at 60 feet or 16 feet here in the competition pool, in dive well, and you have an 80 cubic metal cylinder, 80 cubic feet of air, yeah? And you're sitting at 16 feet of water depth, air becomes a luxury. Because you take out your regulator, you can blow some bubbles, which is actually the rule. Yeah? But one long later, you need air. You don't care about a diamond. You want that regulator in your mouth again and breathe air. Same thing on a space station or a submarine. Yeah? So if you have to pay $100 now for air underwater, it's a bad example because I try to encourage you guys to go diving, but if you're, let's say, in a space station, yeah, you're going to pay $1 million for someone who's flying you up a scuba cylinder of air to have a few more hours of breathing time. You don't care about a diamond. It's all about the moment of the value adjustment, value or evaluation actually. In environmental economics, for those who have marine bio and biology as a background, a classic example is how much worth is the Amazon? Who didn't I have yet? You, sir. How much worth is the Amazon? Or what's the worth of the Amazon? That's a proper grammar. And Siggy, listen, don't play with your phone. Mm-hmm.
Probably priceless.
Probably priceless, okay? It's not a MasterCard commercial. $100 here, $500 here, priceless. What's the value or worth of the Amazon? Melody. Was it Melody? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Any idea?
No.
Okay. So priceless and no, which means zero. Yes.
What Amazon are we talking about?
The big one. South America. Big green lung of the
Not the
earth.
company, right?
Huh?
We are not talking about the company.
No, we're not talking about Amazon.com. We're not talking about one click, big TV next morning. Yeah? We're not talking about complaining about Hey Siri or what's it called? Alexa, order me something. No, we're not talking about the way yelling through the living room and saying play X amount of music and upset your neighbors. It's great. Depeche Mode. That's the song they don't like. What's the value of the Amazon, the forest, the ecosystem? Any idea? All right. What do you find in the Amazon? Trees. Okay. What's the value of one tree?
Depends.
That depends. Okay. What does it depend on?
Usually the city, regulations, government, they'll usually put a price on a certain type of tree or the location of the tree. And then if you want to cut that down, you have to pay that more.
Okay. You're way too complicated in detail here.
Species and size.
Species and size? Mm-hmm. Diego, what do you think? What's the worth of a tree?
Tree, it depends on the type of tree.
Depends on the type of the tree. Alright. Yes, please.
Gold is what you can find in the Amazon forest.
Nah,
That's the
they tried
reason
that.
Huh?
They tried that.
You tried that?
I said, no, I'm saying explorers in the past tried that and a lot of people died.
Well, because
But
of
there was a golden city in
the
there.
forest, you cannot cut a tree in that area.
What?
It's protected.
Who has marine bio in this class? Who has bio?
Bio?
Who's really into environmental stuff? Recycling. Who does recycling? You ever heard about CO2? Carbon dioxide? Why is a tree important for carbon dioxide? It's important for a CO2 cycle. So it breathes in CO2, does a lot of things with the sun and water, and spits out O2. Huh? What else does it do while it does this breathing cycle? It grows. Yeah? Biomass and wood. Alright, so in a global discussion on what's the tree worth, and then lots of trees called the Amazon, you can argue, hey, it's really great for the environment. It takes out CO2, and some people will argue CO2 is bad for the environment, you know. And it will take that and will actually compact it down because it uses it to build wood. We call it a CO2 sink. Lots of forests will actually breathe in all that CO2 and they release actually only the O2 components back. Not a biologist, not a plant person, but this is roughly the stuff, okay? Or I can tell you that tree is exactly $1,000 worth. Because I cut it down here, transport it, cut it in slices and dices. I have the core materials, wonderful wood for wood shops and faking countertops, or maybe mahogany. Put that into my car, nicely polished. Yeah. Don't care about the tree, the leaves. What? Yeah. And even the wood chips, I can put them together and sell them as for the next smoker on your Home Depot. Lifelong perspective of a tree as a living organism responsible to help the nature and the environment, versus as of right now, this is a $1,000 piece because I'm looking at the world market for teak wood or mahogany or something. Fine woods. Yeah? Different approach. I cut the tree down. What's the price of that tree tomorrow? 0. Because there is no more tree. It's only building materials and chop of wood. Different approach. So, to come back, some factors we need to consider, completely got drifted up in economics. Some things we have to consider is how we deal with market studies, completely drifted away, and making sure that you actually know what you want to do with, let's say, economic data in your defined area. Trees is also important to come back to that because they set ambience in your environment. They also create an urban environment because they cool down the urban environment. We're not discussing this in this lecture. It's really cool stuff. It's called the urban heat island. Fort Lauderdale actually has heat island reports how they want to reduce the heat island effects in Fort Lauderdale. Because with all the sun, blue sky, all the shiny buildings, you're going to have a problem with that. Okay? But what are the factors we need to be careful with when we deal with spaces and places and market analysis? The idea is, okay, natural features, built environment, traffic. I-95 and 595. And the railroads in this region are like Chinese walls. They are kind of boundaries. The river, somewhat boundaries. The ocean and the Everglades, somewhat boundaries. So you got to figure out in what kind of playground you are. Yeah? Just remember the idea of all these built environment and natural features are like Chinese walls. Because they're hard to overcome and to transfer. Yeah? Population density matters. I have some pictures. Where people live, what kind of money they make is important. This is a not so great GIS map, but it gives you the idea of, in 2014 data, where are the median household incomes? Yeah? Reported with the Census Bureau. And this is census blocks, census tracts. But you can see how they administer census tracts. Even some of the Everglades are part of the high income area. Why? Because that census tract might just have this part of Western Actually, yeah, that part of Weston, but it's the whole area. Depending on what kind of computer system you use, some of here in the front of Fort Lauderdale, in front of the hotels and the beach, that is actually a reporting zone. You look at the map, it's like, well, that's like 500 yards in. That's a swim to get out there. Why is there income? All because they overlap certain areas in reporting. Yeah? And because of certain jurisdictions, that's where the legal boundary of the city, let's say, ends. Yeah? You can see lower income light, darker, higher income in darker greens. You can see here there's certainly certain spotted areas a little bit more. Or, this is a very easy example for density in the same similar zone of a census area or agglomeration area. Yeah? You will have a higher density versus, let's say, suburbia. So in the same size of the area, you will have different density of people because you have a different amount of people. That means your numbers will look different. And if I want to place a retail store here, I have more people in a shorter distance than there's somewhere in suburbia and everyone needs to drive an hour to the hardware store. Am I going to pick a super Walmart center in the middle of nowhere? Do I? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If I have enough purchasing power for that super Walmart, because everyone in that region won't mind to drive 2 hours to shop at me, at my place, they probably will drop that money. Think about IKEA. Take a look at where IKEA is located. Small homework assignment. Google Maps, just Google IKEA.
Doral.
There are 2 in Florida. And go up the East Coast. Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia area. There are also 2. They're strategically placed close to high traffic zones like interstate intersections, or close by. They're not necessarily somewhere where people will live with $1 million home right next door. More than this mixed commercial stuff, because it's cheaper land to buy there. And probably they're sold commercial. Yeah? But you will see that they're really close by and are carrying a lot of people. I used to live in a state that doesn't have IKEA, because IKEA was Salt Lake City, south of Salt Lake, 6-hour drive, or 9 hours to Portland. I had friends who would rent a U-Haul and go on a day trip or 2-day trips to buy a new kitchen. Why? Because the whole IKEA thing was still cheaper than to buy it locally. Yeah, transportation costs 0. It's a fun family trip. You don't care then, all right? Same thing here. Example. This is actually Philadelphia area. Speaking of, yeah. What you don't see in this sketch, because it's black and white from a textbook for real estate marketing analysis, is we have here the Philadelphia area, Gloucester County, New Jersey. You see here the New Jersey Turnpike. See 295 coming up, and other major elements. This is the housing market area. If you ever see a map like this, be very gentle to this person when you fire them. Why would you fire a person who produces a map like this to give you an idea about your housing market for, let's say, your property management ideas? Not enough information. What information do you miss? Houses? What else?
Pretty much everything.
Pretty much everything. So let's take a look at this in a real setup. Yeah? Alright, that's the city. That's the surrounding areas. You can see here again, 75 Turnpike. So this is the whole housing market. Again, this is a little bit, we're about here. Yeah? Alright, what else do you see right now? Water. Do you see water here? Oh, alright. Housing market here includes a massive amount of the Delaware River. Is the Delaware River a pleasant water body we all want to have our condominiums looking at or facing to? Maybe, depending on what you want to see, because there's a commercial harbor as well. You want to have your condo face Miami, the port of Miami with all the cruise boats, or you want to look the other way around to the Atlantic Ocean? Atlantic Ocean, huh? So housing market example, really bad. Then you take another look, you actually can see more topography and other, let's say, rivers coming in here, like you can see this nicely, feeding into that. So completely bullocks on that housing market map. It's a technical term for bad maps. Okay. All right. Next example. We're pretty much done with this session, with this section. Then you get a break. What do you see here? We're talking about market analysis. That's the radius analysis of downtown Madison. Someone did that. Some university did that. Downtown market analysis. Alright, if you have no idea, try to explain what you see. Holly, go ahead.
Well, if it's a market analysis, maybe they should show like the incomes.
Yeah. What they're doing right now is kind of an overview. They give you this typical thing like, hey, this is about the city, this is about the area here, this is how this area looks, and this is where are we going to do our market study. Why would you consider the lake as part of your market study? Does that matter? That's just bad. 1 mile, 2 miles, and 3 miles. That's just bad. Hello? All right. Why don't you just say, you know what, within a mile drive time or within 5 minutes driving? Something like this. What is Nova Southeastern University? Not considering traffic. That's just too complicated to plug it in. It's 5 miles clicks more. Using GIS, Nova Southeastern University, this is what you get in 5 minutes drive time from the Horwitz building. This is what you get in 10 minutes drive time. Why do you get this? Kind of the appendix here, and 595 going up, not down, up there. Because here it's like 25, this is 65, or even don't care. If you at this point, here's the state trooper and picks you up. Exactly at 5 o'clock, at least 3 cars. It's great to spot if you go the other way around. So in 15 minutes on this map, drive time, based on they know how fast you can go, the speed limits on those roads. They're going to tell you in 15 minutes you should be actually down almost like at the Oceanographic Center. Actually, this would be another way around. It's not really working out because of traffic times, but how do you delineate a market area? Well, maybe something about, oh, it's not so bad, 1 hour drive time. Well, tell me what is within 1 hour drive time. We'll go up to Palm Beach. Or in this case, what do I see in 15 minutes drive time from Nova Southeastern? So there's a tool, it's called Infographics. It gives me these wonderful little funny looking icons. And two slides, only showing one, I can see within 15 minutes drive time, that is the bluish underlying color here. Goes even down to Miramar. Again, it's not going to pick up this building. It's just telling you here, it could be on that road for 50. But all these buildings in that area is covered. Yeah? I have about 400,000 people reported by the census and other data vendors. Yeah? I have 26% high school graduated, 29% are in college or some college. That's you, because you're still not done yet. According to your dad, you should be done yet. I'm just kidding. I hope your parents will always understand that sometimes you spend a semester longer. Those are good parents. And then you have 33% that have a bachelor's, graduate, or professional degree. You can do that for every point in the US, for every drive time you want. You can go into detail. This is just the funny looking stuff. You can go into detail. This is a standard report you can run It's called a housing profile. So for 15 minutes, I say radius, but it's actually driving time, you can say that the age 2018 population, I can't see it before classes. 2018 population is estimated 399, almost 400,000. You gotta check if this reporting number is the same like this, just in case. But it breaks down the owner-occupied housing units by value of the housing unit, shows you how many homes are actually in that area of 15-minute drive time in a 2018 percentage and the estimation for 2023. So if you want to know, if you graduate from, oh, you're the other class, you're graduating in 2 years-ish, so you would be in between, and you want to take a look maybe here at that 400,000 bracket. Just an idea. Why is market research so important? Because now you start talking about lifestyles again. Who is going to live in 2018 in a home that is between $400,000 and almost $500,000, competitive age, competitive income, competitive education? Who is actually renting? If you're a multi-family apartment guy, you want to know who are the people that are renting, because they are your customers. All right, let's take a break before you fall asleep. It's 8:25, let's reconvene at 8:30. All right? All right, I have one more slide to go from this one. How are you doing, Gabe?
I'll get chill.
Actually,
At least last week's over.
wait, Jones.
Just checking on a few things. Red and PM, what is red and PM?
Real estate development and property management.
This one, and then SF and MS?
Single family and multifamily. That's zoning code language. Last week was hot.
Not hard, but
Midterms.
time consuming, yeah. Because I had 5 classes that are 8 weeks, and I had 4 tests last week.
I'm giving midterms in my graduate classes this Saturday. The morning for the GS class. And then 90% of those students are in the class in the afternoon. We're going to teach back to back on the weekends. And they're having a midterm at 12:30 again for the other class. You know that's in 6 weeks. Don't complain about it. Or 4 weeks. But it's okay. We're doing midterm, reconvene, easy going, new stuff, fun stuff, repeat again. Then we do lunch break, midterm, and site planning. So some of the stuff I've been talking today on the lifestyle skills there. And then we have a guest speaker coming. So,
And the way you teach the MBA classes is a lot of that stuff hands-on.
depends. We did a $500 million airport project a year ago, 1.5 years ago. I did a local property in Spring, just around the corner, literally at Nova Drive and College Avenue, the corner lot. Had students develop that as a studio teams. This class, this semester, my site planning class, because we have a lot of people coming in, new people coming in. I can't do a multi-million-dollar project if they haven't done really good experience and confidence. A lot of things, a lot of folks struggle sometimes with confidence. So we're playing Lego blocks. The Duplo blocks. So each Duplo block is X thousand of square foot building height. Based on the coloring code, you actually know this is residential, this is office. And they're doing a rehabilitation project where they, as a team, start bidding for the city. Really cool. So on October 13th was the finals. So actually all the teams will present their results in front of judges. and I actually try to get alumni in that have been through that class one way or the other. Give me one more. Just want to make sure that's
I have to talk to my academic advisor about that. Like, I have no idea.
First 2 weeks, that's Fed Forky's job.
Aren't you guys technically in a class right now?
Technically, yeah.
With the
order,
Yeah.
But we haven't met. I haven't.
Yeah, so we might be a little bit late sometime.
No, he's here.
I'm fine. Class starts at 6 o'clock. We do video recording. I cannot guarantee that a video recorder always works,
So no, we were like.
but it's fine. Do the readings before you come in. That helps, because if you do the chapters before and you come in, you know exactly what's going on. You hear multifamily, like, okay, this is about this chapter,
That make it for
okay?
him. 'Cause he's
Cool.
not really taking, because like we have a special class that we take.
No,
Oh, yeah,
No, no,
you just have an extra credit.
I'm saying I don't think it's gonna work out. I think because it's two different, like the actual entrepreneurship minor, technical classes, and then special class you take it's two totally different. So it's just
Again,
not
this is
gonna
not,
work across the minor.
this is when was this?
The minor that we have in the regular minor, like,
For a year.
most of the classes are the same.
Alright.
Well, but it's, I don't know.
Because the one credit courses are, they would be like 3 different
Yeah,
classes.
we're talking about
Then they
rural and metropolitan areas.
took
I can
4
verify
classes
that.
out or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well,
That's
I'm
what
probably
my
just gonna have
peeps
to drop it, honestly.
in Boise said, but they might also complain about the growth rate.
Would have lost.
I'll
Yeah, but I think that's what's
A lot of money.
people will
No, it didn't cost me any money.
sell their homes
Classes
to table.
classes
It's like
anyway.
a story,
Yeah,
but
no,
it
but
fits the pattern.
if you put
People sell tiny home,
But
1,000 square foot bungalow,
and you already
Technically,
spent,
crappy area,
and you already spent
sell it
that
for
time.
600,000.
but like,
I think it would just matter how many classes.
We had
you take.
California,
I don't know, like, if I didn't take the
Sell
minor at
that.
all, if I would have graduated.
Move to Idaho.
Maybe, but
buy a
like,
home
Sure you
with
can, because I think I graduated.
33,000 square foot, like triple in size,
well, I'm
for
taking
300,
5 classes.
350,000 back then. Have the rest in the bank and sitting on top of the foothills overlooking the whole valley. Perfect place. So, but different ways. I really enjoy living in that
This
town.
man?
It was huge quality of life.
If I would,
Like within an hour,
No way.
there's any outdoor activity you can imagine. More than diving, more than going to the beach. So,
there are
All right.
120 credits for you, but
let's finish this.
I don't know where I'm at.
Well,
Let's finish the.
hey.
That was a happy let's finish this.
you did have a nice idea in class.
In class. Yeah.
Not critiquing businesses though.
There's a really intense stereotype about Germans, and Germans do not have a sense of humor.
I know they do. And I also know that they don't do anything wrong.
It's German efficiency, yeah.
They don't do anything wrong.
When I was, got a moment, when I was a grad student at the University of Delaware, my advisor gave me a bunch of DVDs. DVDs, old school.
I used floppy disk in elementary school. So.
How big was your floppy disk? Do you know why they call the 5¼ inch a mini floppy?
There was a bigger one.
Because there was an 8 inch as well. An 8 inch, that is as big as your vinyl LPs. My first computer program was on computers with like big metal tapes like this big. Tank mines are the same size. But German efficiency. Bunch of DVDs, scans for the city of Wilmington, and Andrew gives me that stuff and says, okay, we need to actually put those into an archive, inventory stuff, and put them in archive and inventory so all the other students can work on that. Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. How long do I have? Because I always want to know what deadline you have for a workflow. 2 days should be worth it, because the idea was to actually literally take the data name, file name, and put it in an Excel spreadsheet. This kid, 10 lines of code, writes the whole disks.
10 lines of what?
10 lines of code. Coding, programming, 10 lines of code. About an hour later, Excel spreadsheet was done, give it to him, and he's like, okay, what are you going to do the next 2 days on it? I don't know, give me work. And he's like, no, you're off. German efficiency. He hated me for that. Still friends.
You get paid for the 2 days?
Yeah. Alright, So the last slide actually in that series was the idea, this is a lead in to what will come, okay? We're going to talk about urban form defines lifestyles and demands. There's a difference between downtown Miami and the west side of Plantation Sunrise. Different lifestyle, yeah? There's a different lifestyle in South Florida versus Vermont or Colorado or California, to make these examples extreme. Yeah? The economic base, it's all the economic stuff we're going to do next week. Economic base determines the increase in demand for real estate and property management. If there are no multifamily homes or apartments, there might be no need to have a manager on site who deals with those hundreds of units. Does this make sense? If you only have single-family homes, the only property management you might be able to do is if the owners are like 1,000 or 2,000 miles away and they say, here for 10% of the rent each month, take a look at this place. Take care of the house. And they show up like once a year and make sure that you didn't throw the windows out or something like that. Yes, please.
Well, the community that my parents live in West Palm Beach is only like 221 homes, but they have a full-time property manager on site.
Yeah.
Single-family homes.
Because what? You're paying probably homeowner association fees?
A lot, yeah, they're
A
expensive.
lot. People forget that if they want to buy a home. A little townhouse you're really interested in, can afford the townhouse, and you take a look at your numbers you can run every day or every month. There's a rough number, about 30% of your income can go to housing. I skipped those slides for today. Now think about how much money you will pay for your apartment. You have X amount of income, net, and then you realize, okay, fine, can I actually afford that home? There's a reason why a lot of people in your age group have roommates. Because you need the economic factor of the roommate. It's not just being social and making pizza in the evening. Huh? You need someone who pays the rent for the second bedroom in that apartment. Huh? You're laughing. It's actually true.
I know.
And you will experience, if you look across the board, take a look at research, housing research, lifestyle research and all that, they're getting older. People in their mid-30s have roommates.
My nephew recently moved to New York and to rent a little apartment. He just got a roommate that is paying half of it because it's too expensive.
Yeah. And it's not what we would consider an apartment. In Florida, it's considered a closet what they rent out there. Yeah? So, depending on where you're at, in what kind of housing market you are, it's outrageous and insane to take a look at the housing markets and prices. Yeah? At what? 1,100 square foot, 1,200 square foot, 2 and 2, $1,500. That's cheap. My friend, and she's a realtor here. A townhome in the city of Davie last spring. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, townhome style, fairly okay neighborhood, 1,300 square foot. On the market to rent for $1,800 per month, gone within a day or 2. That's a steal. If you want to be closer here, to be close to be here. And when I moved here, I had my housing research experience. I was told when you're west of 95, you're an inlander. It doesn't matter if you're like backing up to the Everglades or just about west, or like, let's say at the turnpike. Doesn't matter. You're not anymore in the beach area. And if you look at who said this with Basillo? Was it you, Tanner, earlier about Silo? Who mentioned? Who was that? Sean. If you look at Silo, different apartment prices to rent. Yeah? $600, $700, $800 just because you make the decision to live in Davie or Plantation versus, let's say, Wilton Manors or Lauderdale by the Sea or Hollywood, Dania Beach. Why are you giggling over there?
Because of course it's going to be a difference if you live in Wilton Manors or like
yeah,
by the sea.
Yeah, but if you do not have that, the economic means of income to actually pay for that, you will probably, if you really want to live close to the beach, you really need your roommates. And if they don't have economic means even to share 3 people in an apartment, you're not going to live in Lauderdale by the sea. You drive there for 20 minutes. Again, economic challenges based on lifestyles. Alright, that was actually the last slide for the residential part as a lead-in for the other stuff we're going to do.
Keep the class until 10 too?
I want to keep the class until 10, yeah? Why?
So,
I only have 12 hours of instruction, so I'm going to make it worthwhile. I am not going to let you out like a half an hour early. Fred, Foggy, and I are completely in line with the idea of you paying for the education, you get the best time you can have. Maybe I bother you today. Alright, I'm not going to get done with this today. Because I was overly excited about giving you all the crazy in-depth things you can do. So next week we're going to fill in a little bit what we're leaving today. Yeah? That's like 90 slides. I'm not going to get 90 slides done because I want to keep you encouraged to interact. Alright? Everything okay? Everyone still awake? Alright? Let me know. I'd rather give you a quick another break to refresh. I dropped the thermostat, so we are not going to be completely crazy cold or warm. Okay, what do we know about retail? Commercial end users, next chapter. What do we know about retail? More than the ice cream shop down the street, more than the shark cage businesses we see in the class.
The only thing that I can give you my opinion about that is that because of the e-commerce, a lot of retail spaces are closed and are completely empty.
Alright, so she put in her comment multiple levels of dimensions or multiple levels in the answer. Retail as retail safest. You going to be okay?
I think I just broke something, but I'll fix it later.
Did you break the building or did you break your charger?
Oh no, something
Don't break the building,
okay.
please. Alright. Retail as one dimension, the function. She also said retail space, which is the places we can go and buy the stuff we want. I'm not saying, okay, what we want right now. Retail space is interesting in retail geography, that we're actually differentiating between just square foot of the retail space, but the alignment, how you put things into space, aka your shelves, matters. There's a reason why actually next time you walk into a Publix or a Winn-Dixie or a Walmart, one observation you will see is how they align their shelves and how wide are they. A dollar store is definitely more tight between the shelf spaces than, let's say, the new remodels in Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie changed their shelving. Yeah? Where do you find your retail goods? Depends on the aisle and the products in the aisle. Yeah? The cheap chips, potato chips, the bottom. Yeah? The Super Lays and the Doritos are right in your eye. Best example. I know you guys have not done this yet. I invite you to do it next time you go shopping. Go and buy toothpaste. Why is the toothpaste for kids and toothbrushes, let's say all the Walt Disney characters and Frozen and everything and the pink and the glitter, at what level are they in height?
Their eye level.
On the kids' eye level. They're not on 6 foot. 5.5 here. Yeah. They're right there where the 6 and 8-year-old will see it. The 12-year-old, Frozen, really? Yeah, they're looking for something else. Think about that. There is a huge market research behind the retail spacing. I usually have a slide that says, hey, here's actually like a heat camera, yeah, heat map, like you see from the weather where rain will fall extremely heavy. You can actually see shelving space where people will stop and look at things and out. Procter & Gamble, ever heard about P&G, Procter & Gamble? Yeah? Great for your laundry detergent. They also do what? Pringles. They're doing everything.
Pringles?
Pringles is P&G, if I remember right, Procter & Gamble. Yeah? They're doing everything you can think of that can be processed. Yeah? They have classrooms like this with mirrors and do focus groups. For hours and hours and hours, they have a bunch of folks in there. There are potential new customers, a type of customers for potato chips. And they're going to give you 15 different flavors here, and they videotape you. They want to see how you react, etc. pp. How you smell them, how you eat them, your facial expressions when you bite on them, how much sound they do. Seriously. Just next time if you bite on a Pringle. This is completely market research. The way in your car your turn light makes click, 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 click sounds, there's no mechanical relay anymore that switches on, off. It's actually an electronic circuit with a speaker or some kind of sound element. And they actually literally make adjustments. What is the proper tone for each car? Check it. Check out the different brands of cars. Just run how this sounds. Cell phones. There's a reason why the iPhone has specific cell phones, because we like them. Everything you like is marketable. Facebook, everything you click on Facebook is traced. Yeah? Talking about marketing and retail, I can run Facebook ads on every campus if I want to, and say, this coordinate, 2 mile radius around that coordinate, everyone who has biology as a major and other interests such as will get my advertisement. If you're an economics major, you won't see that. Why? Because you didn't tell Facebook that you're, let's say, biology versus economics. If you're saying I'm studying at Nova Southeastern, I'm probably not going to display you any advertisement for a new undergraduate degree at UF. I might give you a graduate degree for UF, University of Florida, because you are studying economics. I might try to hook you up for an MBA with the other company. So think about that. You're a transparent customer. Remember the story I told you about the sports student opening the fridge, telling you exactly what kind of chocolate and what kind of yogurt you have in your fridge, what kind of brand, the flavors? How do they know that? Back then they would ask people. Today, it's just your interaction in the internet and the traceability. It's really scary, but also great. Why? Because I can tap in all these databases and can do awesome reports like we will talk about this. Okay? So market analysis, a retail market analyst must understand the real estate, that is shopping center, pedestrian-oriented business districts, freestanding stores, as well as the retailing business and its customers. Great. What does this mean? Well, let's highlight a few things. You need to understand the real estate product and the customers. That's it. Really cool building, home. These are the people who want to buy it. A 16-year-old who loves his puppy dog will not buy the $500,000 home with 2-car garage. Let me get a 15-year-old who doesn't drive here. Okay? Retailing business and its customers. Who shops at Publix or Winn-Dixie? Pretty much everyone, huh? You got a customer card, like a swipe card where you get scanned and say, hey, get some gasoline bonus points. Huh? Alright, what do you think Winn-Dixie is doing with that? Do you get coupons once in a while that you check out?
Where? Publix or
At Winn-Dixie?
Well, they closed, so I don't know if they're doing coupon. The one I used to go to closed down, so I don't do it anymore. But yeah, they were taking.
But that's how they get information about you, know?
Every time you swipe your customer card to get perks, you're listed in a database. Now, Gabe buys 2 packs of chips and 3 pounds of ice cream. And he does that a few times. Now, suddenly you are going to get a coupon printout about a different type of chips. Why? Because he is a regular for chips, potato chips. And. If you want to really confuse the system, you offer your ID card for the customer ID card for other people. Huh? You want to really confuse them, Gabe? Swipe the card for every family you see.
I do that with my Chick-fil-A account.
And you get something, you get coupons for baby food. Yeah? It's so-called transparent customer. Every customer rewards program is putting you on a scanner list. Yeah? Remember the old stereotypes about the FBI knows exactly what you're doing at the library computer or what kind of books you're checking out? And The Simpsons had an episode about that. Same thing. If you only buy Pringles chips, they will try to make promotions for other products. They're not going to give you more Pringles. Huh? Yes, please.
When you were in Cincinnati, did you ever shop at Kroger?
Of course.
So they do
It's
that
headquartered
too.
there.
Yeah, they do that.
They're excellent there. 8th Street, downtown. Used to work right next to it. Kroger's an example. It's a company like Publix, like Winn-Dixie, grocery store. Kroger's is different because Kroger's, if you are an intelligent consumer, you would know which location has maybe which prices. And it happened that in the winter times, Mango at the college, close to the college campus Kroger, in a rather poor neighborhood, had like 80 cents to $1 difference on a Mango compared to the Kroger, which is 5 miles down the street driving distance. Huh? Because they had different demand and supply or demands in those shops. Same thing with other companies. Huh? There's a reason why, hey, there's search engines where I can say, hey, for my next flight, the selling city is New York City versus Miami, or London, if you don't care about currency. There could be a few dollars you can save. Huh? So location, 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 because the purchasing power and the retailer interest of customers at one location is different than somewhere else. What about Tesla? Has Tesla a specific customer pattern? Huh? IKEA is pretty much everywhere. Tesla is a little bit more selective, huh? Why would that be? Because they have a different customer segment they want to serve. Huh? If a Tesla costs you like 6 times your annual income, you're probably not going to have that. If it's a fraction of your income, you might consider it. All right. Real estate product trickles down to the physical outlet location, we had that, and the non-physical part, the business and consumers, and the spending behavior and the desires. I just showed you that map with the drive time. I had an example for homes and housing prices. You can do that same thing for expenditures in any retail business you can imagine. In my GS class, I'm telling the students, let's do this for the expenditure on home cleaning products. Laundry detergent, and you run down like a number of like $6.38 or something like that. You can do that for sports expenditures. You can see how many people will spend in the last 12 months X dollars on NFL games. American Dream Mall in Miami, South Florida Business Journal talked to me, and they wanted to know what we think as a real estate program here about the mall. Ran the same analytics for 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours, and take a look at the idea of how many people did travel in the last 12 months to a theme park. This makes sense because we are close to Orlando. Yeah? So depending on your research question and what you want to learn, you can find out the spending behavior and the desires, or what we also call the economic powers. Yeah? You also have to figure out, okay, what kind of retail sector you're in. That's one important thing. If I'm talking about automobile parts, auto parts, I'm definitely not really having an idea about McDonald's and Burger King and fast food restaurants. They are a different sector in that retail world. Yeah? Sometimes you actually take that out because car-related businesses are their own thing. Furniture, it's a different thing. Would you travel 3 hours to get a dishwasher? No. Would you travel 3 hours to get that one leather couch you really wanted? Maybe. Would you travel 3 hours to get your Maserati?
Yes.
Yeah, because the only Maserati dealership is that one that you have in that area. Huh? Oh yeah. Would you travel an hour to get pastry or fresh bread? The German in the room says yes. Yeah. Did you say yes? Yeah. Real bread? Oh yeah. Good food? Yeah. You ever been down to Miami for dinner with friends?
Yeah.
Some might not be able to afford it, but some did. Think about that. There are certain places you will travel that 1 hour to celebrate that food with friends. There's this little wonderful little place at the edge of Wynwood. I'm not driving there just for fun for lunch. But many old high school, grad school friends are in town from outside of the Americas. You're going to hang out all night long there. And then drop them off at the hotel again. Extraordinary events will tell you that you travel longer distances. A really, really bad example is family weddings and family funerals. You will hop on a plane to travel 8 hours across this country to say goodbye to your grandma. You will call grandma for her birthday, but you definitely will make that appearance at her funeral. Huh? Your second-degree cousin you really don't care about? Yeah, for the wedding you're there. You travel 6 hours drive time. Drive up, have a great party, sleep over there, come back. For Sunday afternoon, having coffee with the family, you're not going to do that distance. You're studying for my class. Something like that. Alright? So the idea is again here, consider the desires and travel idea. There will be 1 or 2 more slides when we talk about friction of space, the willingness of travel. Yeah? Important part is here, a shopping center, and this is how the book, the chapter starts. It starts with the typologies of shopping centers by size and location. Yeah? They cannot generate purchasing power. Okay? It's an attraction for customers. The only purchasing power that it will generate is in payment to the folks that work there through employment. Income. They might use that, but they're not counted in this example. If you have a location, you want to know how many people will come with how many dollars they can deliver, this is what we talk about, the purchasing power. What's the purchasing power in 1 hour driving distance from that location of interest? Right? Then we have the examples, and I'm going to jump over that because it's pretty much straight from the book. Anchor and tenants, magnets is important. Yeah, the bigger the center, the more important magnets will be because they draw more and more. The Apple shop is the example here as well. There's not many Apple shops really, but wherever the one is, it is an attraction. Just walking by is fun. Yeah? And you will have different range and thresholds based on the size, store mix, and offered goods. Range and thresholds is pretty much the retail geography terms for why this is a cool place. Range and threshold is the difference between why are you walking to the grocery store to get fresh bread or eggs or milk or drive the minute. Yeah? IKEA is the example why you would drive longer than just that minute. And the Maserati shop is the reason why you would drive 3 hours. Your heart transplant is the reason why you would fly a few hours if needed. Why you would actually relocate somewhere. Yeah? Depends on the type of good There are different willingness to purchase and to travel for. Are you doing Orlando Universal Studio every weekend? No, because the 6 hours round trip is still then too far for every weekend. Would you do it every month for a day or two? If you have a season pass, yeah, why not? Life is not working out like this, but you would consider it. If the roller coasters are in New Jersey, you're not going to even consider that. Unless it's on a road trip and you have a few days out there. Huh? So I'm trying to not talk about food anymore, but more about roller coasters. Alright, so this is in the book. There's a beautiful table about the different sizes, across these areas, and all that wonderful part. I want you to understand that we have neighborhood centers, smaller character, community and super community centers. They're all growing in size. At the top of that, I'll just skip that. South Germany. Kristalle, zentrale Orte. Dann ist South Germany. An hour south from you. About an hour south. Yeah? What you will need to remember is this kind of hierarchy system. Yeah? You have a lot of small villages. Then you have a set of medium towns. Then you have larger towns. And maybe really big cities. You can see, using hexagons, small city or town, or actually hamlet, goes bigger and bigger. Think about that. As a heart transplant. How many heart transplant shops do we need? Do we need them at neighborhood level? No. Do we need maybe health clinics? Small black box, doctors in the box, where you just walk in, get your open foot or something from running fixed? Dentist work? Yeah, that's your dentist. Small stuff. Yeah? That's your neighborhood shop where you go and buy some fresh eggs for breakfast. This is the range of a Maserati luxury car shop. This is the range of that specialized medical transplant place where you have a wait list, you show up, get surgery, and then the locals take care of you in the end for rehab. Yeah? This is how this manifests, the different hierarchies, even for shopping centers, different hierarchies across space and overlaps as service coverage. Okay? That's the only thing you need to remember for that. There are different products in retail with different threshold and willingness to travel. That's the visualization of that. Central places. The difference between a loaf of bread and a luxury car. Let's say Tesla or Maserati. Maserati is too exotic. Let's say Tesla. Alright. Same thing here. Second slide, shopping center typology. It's a table in the chapter. A little bit more words on that. Super regional mall is the interesting part because we're coming to this. Very close up here, this topic. What's this? Isn't that what?
The green thing that they wanted to build?
Yep.
The green mall?
Yep. That's 3.5 million square foot in retail. That's the American Tree Mall. It's down in Miami. Really cool.
Wait, Turnpike and Silver.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
You know the turnpike that goes to Homestead?
Alright, so
Yeah.
It's on the west.
what they have is they have indoor parks and water parks and have anchors such as luxury hotels and tons of retail associated to that. Yeah? This is a big thing. Yeah? They have a full-size water park, full-size theme park included, marine lake, luxury hotel, resort, sports center, miniature golf, outdoor filming fishing center, Art Deco village, movie theater. Yeah? Massive. Not to mention maybe traffic impact. They're estimating 30 million visitors annually. That is 70,000 trips a day. Right up on the ramp, on the interstate and turnpike.
I was feeling like one of the things that was stopping it from happening was like they were saying that the roads are not gonna be able to.
Well, they were okay with the zoning for it, so they got in the planning process the approval. Yes, you can start playing with what you can do on the site, but they have had some setbacks in terms of environmental impact, runoff of surface water. They're not there yet. There's some issues about the close by Everglades or wetlands included. I have been questioned about, okay, who's going to build that? Do we actually have the workforce and the employment base actually to build this whole thing here, or they come from outside and they leave? The idea of how many thousands of employees will be there. They say about 15,000 employees will work there, which is about 60%, but 60% approximately will make less than $25,000 a year. Where are they going to stay and live? We just made fun of roommates. So think about it, you make $25,000 a year working there in a full-time job. Where do you live? In Kendall? In downtown Miami? Homestead? Maybe you actually live here in Plantation and Davie and then hop on the car all the time. So you're adding, again, trips to that. 15,000 employees are not counted in the daily trips because they only count the visitors in this example. So I truly encourage you guys to take a look at this. This is a monster, an impressive monster. I don't mean monster in a scary way, but there are certain dimensions of monsters that can scare you.
Scary traffic is what I'm saying.
Traffic impact could be fun. Environmental impact could be fun. The purchasing power drawn into the area will be mind-blowing. My comments to this was the cruise industry, which is a multi-billion sector here in South Florida, needs to tap into that. And say, hey, you know what? You want to do 7 days in the Caribbean? Why don't you, after you have been for 7 days or 7 nights on the boat, why don't you fly out a day or 2 days later from Miami Airport, and we provide you free shuttle and stay in one of the luxury hotels there, and you go shopping and you play a little bit more in the water park, remembering what happened on the boat. Something like that. Combined synergies. We talk about mixed use. Mixed use, hotels, offices, residential uses. Retail. You need to combine it if that is really going to fly. In the long run. She's having fun. Are you going to be okay down there, CD?
Yeah.
He's like cracking up, smiling and all that. Hi.
So do you think the housing value would go up or down in that area?
What do you guys think? Housing value going up or down?
Is that like including the terrible traffic and the pollution? You think
I
it
don't
should
know.
go up?
I don't know if housing is going up or down in the immediate area. Housing in general will go up for sure, I would think. Does this mean housing within a mile? Not so sure. Can't say. People say, hey, parks and urban open spaces will increase property values. I did a study and I said, well, if you live just on that block across that playfield or that park, your housing value is okay. But technically statistics, there are ripple effects. I can't tell what's the noise here. Like a few hundred feet or a mile down the street, there is a statistical significant change in value. It's going up, like a peak, like noise, peak, and then flatten out. Because why? Across the street from a playfield, you got in the evening a community sports going on, and at 10 o'clock in the evening you still have the lights on and the noise. So we actually saw in that study around the baseball fields, lots of ripple, lots of noise. You couldn't really say in that specific distance what's going on. But later out, you said, hey, well, this is the larger area of the neighborhood. That was quick. At certain levels, again, a scale discussion. This is going to be a great thing in terms of just going there as a destination. That's what they say. I want to go there sightseeing people. I don't want to go there shopping. I go to the mall for one shop only and spend 2 hours there and taking pictures for the next class. I took pictures in the Sawgrass Mill just on the floor. Patterns on the floor on building materials. Yeah, I'm also the guy who walks down the street and takes a look at the second floor and the third floor because they changed the use. Next time you walk Las Olas, take a look at the windows and the upper floors. Count the amount of electric meters and gas meters, electric meters, at the house. If you see it around the corner, then you see how many units are actually in that house. Looks great. Could be one family, 1 meter. Could be a business and a condominium on top, 2 electric meters. If you see 6 or 8, it's a multi-family unit. Little indicators of, hey, how to explore urban space. All right, trends. The trend is 909. We are going strong. You guys, I'm sorry. This is exciting stuff. This is what I do. There is a mix between theory, and I told you it was fun in the evening, a little bit decline in the afternoon, later in the evening. Trends, mixed use is really important. Yeah? What's going on in Broward County? Yes?
A lot of construction.
A lot of construction. What do you need for construction?
Workers, building material.
And?
Space.
Space, land. What's the trend in Broward County when we talk about land? There is no more. We're running against capacity, meaning there is no physical more land you can generate. The only way what you can do is you generate more density. Yeah? If you're using more density, you need to consider more costs. For more costs, you need to find ways to cover that. Yeah? In terms of retail, we found the idea of mixed use. So I'm going to put some retail on the first floor and put some apartments or condos on the second, third, fourth, and sixth floor, depending on building height. So I'm starting with multiple revenue generating uses. If you're perfect, you would put retail on the first, office on the second and third, and then 2 or 3 floors on top, a little bit higher priced apartments and condos. And we have seen that. There are a lot of medical doctor offices nowadays in the second floor. Or the accounting office of a medical facility. Doctor's office, dental office on the first floor, and then maybe they actually don't outsource it, but on the next floor they have their own company.
Professor, that is going to be the new concept for the building that is going on Sunrise, very close to the BB&T, the very high building.
Oh, the Metropica, what do they call it? Towers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be cool stuff too. But think about this, how to change landscape. There are like 2 towers right now, a little bit north of the mall. On, what's it, Flamingo and Hiatus? Yeah? Can't remember the name of those 2 towers. If you look at the landscape of that area, those are the 2 largest built towers at all. Now we have a new development coming in, there's also 2 towers. Yeah? Someone had the guts to put tower into that landscape. And now towers will follow because they're all going with density and new lifestyles of buildings. New amenities and all that. Huh? So we'll see, Sunrise will change. Huh? I can see in the next